What is up, party people, the gang, all back together. Thank you, EJ House, for filling in on Friday. As listeners, she sounded great. But the gang's all back. My man, how was Oklahoma?
It was a lot like Tennessee. Outside of a couple of days, it was really windy. It would storm, then get really cold.
Really? Any tornadoes?
No tornadoes in our neck of the woods in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
We were tornado-tacular here.
You guys
took a vacation at the right time.
I did, man. You guys didn't sleep.
We did not. So was that, what day last week? Was that Wednesday into Thursday? Was that it?
Yeah.
We were up, and I know it was Matt and Dan, and then I joined about 2:30, went until about 5, and they handled the rest of that for that mid-morning. And then Saturday, leaving Costco, and, Dan and I and everybody were texting through the day, and we knew something was coming, but it was, we were like, well, it's 3 hours away. It's 3 hours. But all of a sudden, no, it's 30 minutes away. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the middle of it. And I was telling the guys, my car, the wind was shaking so bad, and it would start to move. You're like, oh.
Yeah. And
we got in here, and it was just Belle and I and Dan and Chris, and we were rocking it because, Matt, he quit on us for that day. Decided to go away for a couple of days.
He's on vacation.
He gave up.
He did. He's like, I'm over this crap.
I'm out of here, man.
So it was quite. My kids, though, were fascinated by the alarms.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And I was telling everybody last week, Ken. It's a weird phenomenon where the alarms are going off, tells everybody to head for shelter, but your first instinct is to go. I want to go look out the window.
Where's it at?
I just want to see where it's at.
Yeah. And I want to see it.
And the nighttime was one thing, but on that Wednesday or whatever, it was light enough to see, Saturday it was light enough to see some stuff. And people were sending us pictures, man, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Well, it's good to have you back, brother.
It's good to be back, boys. And I tell you, I'm glad that's over, man. That was an extraordinary event.
Don't jinx it.
In that cold front, it's just crawling. It's still, right now, that same system is still pounding parts of the East Coast.
Oh, absolutely.
It's still very active.
It was so weird because, like, on Wednesday, we were talking about it came here and it just stalled. And it was so big, though. And then Saturday, it was the same thing, but it was so big. It was going from the Gulf down there of America, but it went all the way up through into Indianapolis and into Ohio.
Yeah.
It was such a massive storm. And let's go to our one of our great reporters / producers here. Belle, how was your Saturday afterwards? Please tell us.
It was, nice little relaxing evening doing stuff I never thought I would have to do in my life.
So this is a great thing. Bill, first of all, let's talk about, you got home. How much power was on?
None.
Oh.
But the power line to the house was hanging in the driveway about chest level.
Whoa.
So instead of parking in the driveway, I parked in the front yard. And, of course, I go inside and I realize my phone is about to die, but I have no power, so I have to go out to the car to charge it. So as I'm sitting there in my car with the car running and the phone charging, I realize I'm almost out of gas. So as I decided I'm just going to go get some quick fill up, and then I'll come back and sit here and charge the phone. My car was stuck in the mud in the front yard, and I had to call the tow truck to pull me out of my own front yard.
How long did they tell you? How far?
About 8 feet.
Yeah, this
and
is
it cost me $165.
But it was 150 at one time. What did the guy say to you?
Yeah, I asked him. I said, "What it was?" Because I use this same company every time I've ever needed to, and the last time a couple of years ago it was like $150. And I'm like, "What? Why did it go up? It's 165 now." And he goes, "Yeah, tariffs."
Just blaming everything on that now.
For the tow truck. Oh my Lord! It was. Yeah, it was something. There's no doubt. And my son, it's funny because I got, we went golfing on Friday, and I got a ton of questions about tariffs and stuff. We'll get to some of that stuff in a little bit. But they all asked me the same thing. What's it like being in an earthquake? I'm like, here's the thing. You don't know an earthquake's coming.
Yeah.
Right? There's no hey, tomorrow there's a chance we could have earthquakes.
There's a level 3 out of 5 risk for an earthquake.
Yeah, the shaketation, I can see it start to shake.
Yeah,
There's none of that.
Radar indicates.
Yeah.
I got woken up. I was in LA one time in a hotel, and I got woken up by an earthquake, and it took me until the earthquake was over to realize what was happening.
Yeah.
That I was in an earthquake for the first time. Then I was in a second earthquake in Atlanta, and the only reason I knew it was an earthquake is because I'd been through the one in LA.
By the way, not to scare everybody here, our fault that we're sitting on is ready to pop and is as big, if not bigger, than San Andreas.
Yeah, the what is it called? The Madrid?
Yep, the Madrid.
Yeah.
At any given time. And we're not built for California's retrofitted everything. It's built, everything's on rollers, all that stuff. We're not quite there.
I would not want to be on that bridge connecting Tennessee and Arkansas.
Oh, God, no. No chance in that. Well, did you drive out to
Yeah, we drove to Tulsa, and very little weather impact. You know, we left on Sunday morning.
what kind of drive is
Drive
that?
back, however, it's about a 10-hour drive. If you only stop once or twice, it's about a 10-hour drive.
You got to stop at Buc-ee's somewhere.
I don't mess with that, man. There's too many people there.
It's just such a
And there's really no Buc-ee's in between here and Tulsa on I-40.
The last Buc-ee's I went to, which was the only Buc-ee's I'd ever been to, was outside of Dallas.
I bet you that one is.
Well, first of all, there's a lot of people that are just, it's Buc-ee's. You know, you're getting gas, the whole nine yards. But there's also about 100 people in there that are all influencers from around the world
Right.
who want to come in and take photographs and stuff and hope that the giant beaver squirrel thing, whatever it is,
comes to life.
comes to life and comes out.
Yeah.
But it was a zoo. It was and you're in there forever. You're like, I'll be in for 5 minutes. I'm going to get beef jerky. And I'm like, oh my God, they've got the best. We got brisket. It's like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I mean the drive there wasn't bad. The drive back,
Weather?
the entire time, man, was if you weren't in lightning and buckets of rain, it was threatening. You could see it everywhere around you.
Wow.
Make the wife drive?
No. My daughter started out driving, but she got so freaked out about an hour outside of Tulsa. She said, "Daddy, I got to pull over. You got to take over." I said,
Oh, it's
"All
that
right."
bad.
Yeah, she couldn't see,
Yeah.
which you can't. And this was, we left early in the morning, so it was still, pitch black outside. And we got about an hour outside of Tulsa, and, it's raining so hard. I mean, I couldn't see. But fortunately, there's not as much traffic there between Tulsa and Little Rock as there is here between Nashville and Memphis. So it wasn't that bad. I had to go, I had to keep it down about 55 miles per hour just so I didn't hydroplane.
That was the big thing when we were driving on. I was telling the guys, we're so saturated, Ken. We're like so saturated that now everything fills up at 100 miles an hour. Was it like last week? It was the one of the overpasses come to get. It was a lake. It was a 65 and something. It was a lake.
Yeah.
It was like the 440. It was if you were anywhere but the shoulder, you were floating.
Yeah.
In certain areas. And it's like that now. I mean, I see a little bit of rain come. You look outside, everything fills up so fast now.
Right. And I saw footage of, I don't know where this was in Nashville, but I see this truck go through the floodwater, and then a little sedan tries to do the same thing, and off they go. And fortunately for them, something stopped them. I think they got out of the car okay, but can't do that, man.
Now, what's our weather like this week? Do we have any more?
Oh, dude.
We got some rain, but do we have any of the...
No severe weather threat that I see. The only thing we got coming up is Thursday. There is a chance for some thunderstorms, but right now it's not on the severe scale. It's looking like, cold nights. Tonight we're supposed to get below freezing. Tomorrow night below freezing before, we start warming up at night. We're going to gradually warm up during the day. It looks like we could be 65 degrees on Wednesday.
That was the other thing.
And
it was
sun.
The Friday. So, we get through all these days, and then Friday we go golf. It's like 85 and humid. It's like 90% humidity. We're out golfing.
Yeah.
And then you get to, today, and you're like, it's 40 degrees outside.
Yeah. Welcome to springtime in the South, Brother Chad.
I'm still in my shorts, though, boys.
I got mine on today, too, dude.
You know what? Chris had shorts on, too. The only one who doesn't is Bell.
Brother
you never know
Bilal,
what's going to happen with this car.
get your shorts on me.
It was so funny. Like, Bill, how far they tell you? It's like 8 feet.
For $165. For $165, I should have gotten at least a mile.
You should have said, it's like, is there any way you could just take me around the block a couple
Can
times?
you just tow me up to the gas station?
Just make it worth it. Brother Bilal, you've got plenty of cat litter, dude. You got to use that stuff.
In the middle of a storm?
Well, yeah.
No.
Save you some money.
It was bad enough my hair got messed up.
Call me. I would have come over. We'd have bumped you out of there. Got the 4-wheel drive and the whole 9 yards. We'd got you out of there.
But to put a capper on the whole story, the power line is active and still hanging about chest level in the driveway.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's good for the kids.
I tried calling NES repeatedly, and of course they're swamped, so I get no answer. I ended up having to call the non-emergency line for the police office, and they're like, "Hey, don't worry about it. We're going to report it for you. We'll get somebody out there and make sure nobody gets hurt." Blah blah blah. Didn't say anything about time frame or whatever. And then about 15 minutes later, a fire truck shows up with its lights going and its siren going, just to check and make sure that there's no fire or fire hazard happening. And that guy says, "Oh, well, don't worry, we'll get NES out here in about an hour, and they'll come fix this." It's still hanging there.
And that wasn't an hour ago, right?
No, that was over 24 hours ago.
Okay, just want to make sure that wasn't an hour ago, because you could be throwing them under a bus right now. I'm sure they're busy.
Kind of am, but I understand busy, and I trust me. There's other situations that I'm sure are worse than ours, but this is a live, active power line hanging at chest level. That seems like it would have a little bit of a priority.
Your neighbors are aware, right?
I hope so.
Well, yeah. I mean, like you said, is there going to be Is there going to be any accountability should somebody come up and touch something?
There may not be accountability, but there will be a funeral.
Yeah, could be.
By the way, somebody wants to know, did you go to the Bob Dylan Museum in Tulsa?
I did not. I did not know there was a Bob Dylan museum in Tulsa.
There you go. He did not know that. He would have otherwise. He said so. A lot of stuff to get today. We're going to talk a little bit about, tariffs and taxes and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of people when we were golfing ask me because that's the thing I was super excited about. I'm out there playing with my son. And I'm like, hey, let's all talk about tariffs.
So let's talk about work.
Let's talk about stuff like that. But a lot of people this weekend asked me about tariffs. We're going to talk a little bit about tariffs, taxes, all of that stuff. So much stuff to get to today. Plus more on what took place just outside of Dallas, the stabbing, as now the alleged killer of Austin Metcalf, he's raised a ton of money. There's been a ton of money raised in his behalf. And now it's become a race thing, which is insane because, why do 17-year-olds now feel like they have to kill each other to get their point across? We'll talk about that. Bunch of other stuff to get to today. It's the Chad Benson Show at Super Talk 99.7. Birch Gold. In today's world, with all that's happening, gold, kids. Diversify and protect what you've built so hard, really, over your life to grow, and that is your wealth. And let me tell you something. With times like this, Birch is going to help you out. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to text the word Benson to 989898 today. They're going to get you out an info kit. Let you take a look about all the things they do. When I buy gold, and I buy it from Birch. They take care of me across the board. They're amazing people. They know what they're talking about. Whether you have a 401k or IRA and you'd like to get it backed by gold, they can show you how to do it at no cost to you whatsoever. But in times when people worry about geopolitical, inflation, recession potential, currency devaluation, we go on and on. Smart money heads to places where they know this has been around forever, and this is a great protection. And it is gold. Text the word Benson now to 989898 today for Birch Gold.
Well, the storms are over, but the threat of flooding persists across Middle Tennessee, and President Trump threatening 50% tariffs on China. That's coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
China. We're coming for you, China.
China.
This weekend, there were protests across the country. People angry at all kinds of things, but they're not quite sure what they're angry about.
What makes Trump a fascist?
He does things without
You gotta talk loud. I don't have my mic on.
I'm not really good into interviews.
Sorry?
He just doesn't. He just does everything he wants, and not following laws or he's a convicted felon. That's all I know.
But your sign says he's a fascist, and I'm just curious what makes him a fascist.
Well, one of the things is that he's trying to control the media, right?
Say that again?
He's trying to control the narrative.
How is he trying to control the media? Doesn't every president try to control the narrative?
They try to control their own narrative, but one of the things that Trump's has done, for example, is the renaming the Gulf of Mexico, and then not allowing the Associated Press to come into the White House. Basically, trying to get.
What are your feelings about him renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America when a majority of the Gulf is in fact on the coast of America as opposed to Mexico?
I mean, it's kind of pointless.
Oh, it gets better. The guy's like, I'm not ready for an interview.
I just don't like him.
Yeah, he finally comes out and says, well, there's a lot of people out here. So are you like trying to, you thinking that you're going to score? Like, you're here, you're like, look at all these chicks, right? There's a bunch of chicks out here, right? I'm out here doing the good thing, so this should be good, right? Like, yeah, continue. Oh, he's hilarious too, because he just gives away everything.
People.
Is it pointless?
People call it the Gulf of Mexico.
Don't you think it could have a positive tourism impact potentially?
Tourism has been down heavily.
So I don't want to get into a tourism debate. My question is, the sign says the fascist Trump regime must go.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious what makes him a fascist. You pointed out that maybe something about his relationship with the media, he wants to control it, but how? Again, you're calling him a fascist.
Yeah. Well,
what makes him a fascist?
One of the core tenets of fascism is creating an enemy, right, and blaming those problems on the enemy.
What's that?
The paper gave me. Yeah.
Who gave you that?
So the guy pulls out the paper, goes, hey, I got a bunch of papers that they just gave me, along with my sign.
But I'm not paid. The sign. It's a free sign.
Oh, someone gave you the sign, and then they gave you the handout. So are you reading it now to try to answer the question?
Yeah, but I mean...
Can I see that? Can you hold that up?
I'm just not...
I'm just curious.
Maybe you can have it.
I can have it?
Yeah, you can have it.
Alrighty. So where did you get the sign?
All the way in the gatekeeper's house.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just pretty cool.
And that's
Yeah, there you go. Well, that seems like a well-orchestrated plan. This is the perfect guy to talk to. Well, they gave me the papers and stuff. I'm supposed to be mad at Elon. That's the guy that does Tesla? Why am I mad at him? Oh, yeah, I should be mad at him for something.
Elton John.
That's right. I'm mad at him because it's the thing. Because he's so mean. He's like, I'm still standing. Not now, you're not.
When you're arguing with somebody who has the strength of their convictions behind them,
Yes.
you can at least have some respect for their conviction. This guy doesn't even know what he's protesting.
He has no idea.
He's just out there.
So
It's like you said, man. He's out there. He's out there for the chicks.
he is. He's thinking he's going to get chicks. Because every guy's done that, by the way. Every guy, don't care, conservative, liberal, atheist you are. You've gone to a church you don't go to because you're trying to get with some chick. You've gone and seen some horrible movie you never want to go to because you're trying to get with some chick. You've gone to a crappy protest. You've done something stupid.
Gone to the opera.
You've done something ridiculous that you would never do. Like, don't tell my friends. But you went because you're like, she's smoking hot, right? Like, it's worth the effort. And this guy's out here. He's like, yeah, I saw a whole bunch of people here and stuff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
We had Elizabeth Warren here.
I saw that.
Yeah. She's like, hi, guys. I'm here. The oligarchs are going to stop us all. They're coming for us. What are we going to do?
We have to stop the boogeyman.
Great. I watched like a bunch of this stuff online, because my son and I were hanging out and we're looking at it. I'm like, showing Jack. Jack, look, nobody has the same sign. These people over here fighting for gay rights. These people over here are fighting for Palestine. These people over here are just against. Everybody's a fascist. Everybody's a fascist.
Yeah.
These people over here, are fighting for Social Security. I mean, there's 1,000 people. 900 of them have a different cause that they're fighting for. Nobody's serious. And I will say this. I was talking to some people earlier. A lot of these things had older people that were there, and they're worried. They're worried that Social Security is going to be taken away and that the rug's going to be pulled out from under them. That's a legitimate fear.
Sure.
if you're older. I understand that. But for a lot of these other people, they're there because it's a party.
Yeah.
They're not there for anything real.
They just want to be part of something.
That's it. I mean, I like to be part of, my couch and watch TV. They choose to go out and glue themselves and stuff. Well, you know what? To each their own.
Wish I could get paid to just sit on my couch and watch TV.
Oh, man, that would be awesome.
I'd be a billionaire. I'd be an oligarch.
An oligarch. Be awesome. That would be so great if you just said, what do you guys do? Just pay me to watch TV.
Just watch TV, man.
Pretty much the greatest thing ever. It's phenomenal. I can tell you whatever's on right now because I have a changer that's got a guide. Ask me any question. Got it right here. God, it's like I'm playing God with a television. Coming up, we'll talk a little tariffs. Also, several of you have been chiming in about the Austin Metcalf stabbing last week because it's become racist. It's become a racial thing. It's become ridiculous. And anytime politics gets involved, you know that cooler, calmer heads are going to, they're going to leave the room. There's no doubt about that. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
$12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Looks like we've got some rolling roadblock action blocking the left lane, 840 eastbound. It's going to be at I-65. They're doing some work on the bridges in Williamson County. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Supposed to see the sun at some point today. Damage assessment continues across Tennessee due to the stormy week and weekend. The death toll stands at 10 in Tennessee. There are 20 nationwide. Tennessee Emergency Management Agency Director Patrick Sheehan says rivers are still running high, meaning the threat of flooding persists.
It's going to take quite a bit of time for that water to recede. In some places, it could take weeks. So if you have roads that are covered in water, we ask that you turn around and don't drown.
Right now in our nation's capital, Karen Travers.
President Trump Monday threatened to again increase tariffs on China if Beijing doesn't remove the retaliatory tariffs it placed on the U.S. The president said his administration would put additional tariffs on China of 50% effective Wednesday, April 9th. A senior White House official said this would be in addition to the 34% tariff President Trump announced last week, set to go into effect that same day. There are already 20% tariffs in place on China, which means there's a potential for a total of 104%. China called the Trump administration's policy, quote, economic bullying.
As a week-long nationwide boycott of Walmart has begun over its rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, or DEI, the company has announced a response, says Chuck Sievertson.
Citing a workforce where a majority don't have college degrees, Walmart announces it's working with other leading employers through a Skills First workforce initiative, giving a grant to create a new website, skillsfirst.org, listing requirements for 9 of the most common U.S. jobs to help job seekers and employers. Walmart says its partners include Bank of America, Home Depot, Microsoft, Nordstrom, PepsiCo, and Verizon.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Let me tell you something. You hear about the weather. You know it. The weather's nasty and has been, and there's water. Is there standing water somewhere? Like your pipes almost burst? Wood rot. You don't want that. Mold, definitely don't want that. What is your foundation like? It is time to have USS come out. Been around for 30 years, right? They are the best. 30,000 5-star reviews. They're incredible. Let them come take a look at what's going on. And partly because, you know what? We, especially, come on, guys, let's be honest. We let things get a little worse before we decide to do something about it. So whether you think you may have something like mold, wood rot, you need some structural repair, USS is there. They're not going to come out and charge you anything. Take a peek. They're not going to, it's absolutely free, sell you any necessary repairs. That's not who they are. They're going to come out and take care of you the right way. They're here to help, and they guarantee the best. Call them today. Find out what they can do for you, especially if you're worried about all that stuff. Standing water. Do you have something somewhere you just don't know about? Don't let it get way worse. Call 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, or online at ussTN.com. Wellness Institute of Nashville. Thank you very much, sir. You're back. You know what's great? I went out swinging the golf club free. Not worried. Why? I'm Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley in my back pocket, and so should you. If you've got back issues, right? Take advantage of the 47, the big 47. It's an offer going on right now in honor of the 47 president. It's 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. It is awesome to have a life free of pain. And many of you listening, and I've talked to many of you out there, the struggle you have because you know when it comes to your back, your knees, your aches and pains, they don't seem to go away. And as you get a little bit older, you think, this is it. I'm going to be stuck like this. Not with Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley and the Wellness Institute. Call them today. Set up an appointment. Get over to see them. First and foremost, during your consultation, you're going to get an exam, an x-ray. If you got an MRI, bring it. They're going to build you out a plan. And through the technology they have and the machines that are just absolutely incredible, they're going to put you, back together, right? Humpty Dumpty? Not so much. Dr. Ashley and Dr. Mitchell? Absolutely. Get you up and running. Get yourself out there. Talk to them today. 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or go to painisbad.com. I don't care about tariffs at this moment in time. You know when it'll affect you? Is when it'll affect you. That's it. I mean, we could sit here and say, oh, what about this? I don't know.
Yeah, everything's possible.
Yes.
Or it could. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, are we going to feel some of this? Yeah, we are. Is it going to be awful? I don't know how long it lasts.
We'll see.
Could last a month. Could last a week. Could last 5 months. This could be something that's just here to stay. I couldn't tell you. Some of them, I think, are serious trade battles going on with China. Others, I think, are negotiation ploys. Putting tariffs on countries where, one of our dollars could buy a house, that's a little much, okay? Let's be real. But this is a message that's being sent. Okay, fine. Now, you're going to have to take the politics with it, and Trump's going to have to accept that. But you look at the market today. It's down, it's up, it's down, it's up. There was oh my God, for a moment it was up that was not real. The Dow Jones currently sits at, right now, it's down 323 points. What's it mean to you? Well, I don't know. If you're 32, it means very little. Because unless you're a day trader, you're not doing anything with it. If you are in retirement and you're maybe in positions you shouldn't have been in, could you be feeling a bit of the pain? Yes, it's a possibility. But are you taking everything out today? You're not. And so the market is already overbought. The market at some point in time will find its floor. It'll get its sea legs back, and it'll go, and it'll adjust to whatever's happening. What it'll affect is the price of life. That's when the noise will get loud. If tomorrow everything jumps 8, 10, 12, 15%, people will start to be feeling that. That's when the noise will get loud in the world of politics. Right now, it's just the media doing its thing, right? Like, it's the worst thing it's ever seen. And, oh, my God, what's going to happen? And the world's falling apart and blah, 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 as you get.
For years, these Asian countries have slowly been coming into the international market. Trade has opened them up. But if this continues, these countries may feel that the United States is no longer a partner they can deal with, and they will be pushed back into China's orbit. And that is precisely not what Donald Trump says he wants.
No. And look, there's a possibility. Look, there's no doubt he is doing something that he thinks it's been a jam of his for a long time. He thinks this is going to pay off way down the road. I don't know if it will or won't, because I don't know what's real and what's not. Not that they're not real, but some of them aren't meant to bring manufacturing certain things back here. Others are meant to battle in the world of trade. And so there you go. Game on. So let's see what it looks like. The day-to-day, if you're a day trader, you're loving this volatility, right? Like, so if you're out there every day trading, you love it. Up, down, sideways. You want some volatility. You want some movement. That's how you make your money. If you are somebody who's in it for the long run, like most people, you're just looking here going, well, this sucks. But Trump will pay attention to that. And I still go back to, I don't know what we're going to be manufacturing here. That, we need to manufacture the stuff that's important. You know what we don't need to manufacture? Socks. Keyboards. Right? Little clocks in front of me. We don't need to manufacture certain things, because it just doesn't matter. Right? It isn't. It isn't, and everybody's like, what about slave labor? I'm not putting anybody in slavery. You go yell at Nike if you want to talk about that. Go yell at somebody else. They're the ones who decided to go elsewhere. But we also don't want to pay a lot. I mean, I was reading today that the potential of just doing a phone here for an iPhone would be $2,800 to $3,400 for an iPhone. That seems a bit rich. It's great if you make $150 an hour. But these are all long-term plays. And this is a battle that is going on at several different fronts. Europe will come. They'll figure something out. It's not like we're buying a ton of crap from them. It's really the battle between us and China. And that has just as much to do with the military side of stuff as it does anything else. And the military side of stuff is real. I'm talking about the chips. I'm talking about the fact that the more you can squeeze them when it comes to money, the better. And this is going to go on, I think, for a little bit longer when it comes to China. And not so much, I think, when it comes to other countries that are more willing to come to, to the table and talk. But, if we push Europe to China, that's not a great thing, but I guess that's a risk. But you and I and everybody else, when stuff starts to get way more expensive and you feel that, that's when Trump will have to make the decision. Because at some point in time, if that happens, and Democrats start to gain leverage in an area called, primaries, where they feel like, okay, our numbers are strong enough that we can start beating some of these Republicans and maybe take back the House and the Senate, then things change. But until then, this is what we have. And when it comes to the manufacturing side of stuff, I'll say it and say it again. Show me a 25-year-old that wants to work inside of a factory all day. You know when they'll want to do that? When they can work from home. Hey, is there any way I could do my manufacturing bit from home? Anybody? No? Right? Like, no? Yeah. I asked my son today, I said, Jack, we're going to bring back manufacturing in the country. Are you excited? He looked at me, shut up, Dad. I can do that. So I thought, right?
He's going to be a hockey player, dude.
That's what he thinks. He's way better at golf than hockey. He tells me that, too. I just like wasting your money, Dad.
Where are most golf clubs made?
Yeah, no doubt. Mine were made in Japan because I bought used ones, and they're Mizuno's, and they're made in Japan.
They're still going to get tariffed.
Probably. That's why. You know what's funny? I was telling him that hockey, because of the Canadian tariff, that hockey equipment is going to see a huge bump. I'm like, you better get all your stuff now. That's it.
In other words, you need to buy all of his stuff now.
Yeah, you better start skateboarding, something like that. You better pick another sport. Oh, my goodness. So when it affects you, that's when things will start to turn. When it affects you. But what about all the great stuff we're going to do with tariffing? This is Ms. Sargon here talking about how this is going to be great for men.
The rage that you see on Wall Street, what they are trying to do here is they are shorting the president's agenda because Wall Street thinks, after 60 years of being utterly catered to, that they control this country and that they should control the president and all of our elected officials. And of course, they think that because that has been the case for so long. I think you bring up a really important point, Rachel. It's not just the destruction of the economic vitality of the working class, but there has been a spiritual decimation that has come along with that. A crisis in masculinity because we shipped jobs that gave men who work with their hands for a living and rely on brawn and physicality off to other countries to build up their middle class. And then we imported millions and millions of illegals to work in construction, to work in, yes, manufacturing, what's left here, to work in landscaping, to work in janitorial services, to work in a whole bunch of jobs that used to give men access to the American dream.
But now you're also talking about prices. That's not just about the cost of doing manufacturing here and paying a living wage. You're talking about prices. So you make $25 or $30 an hour manufacturing. Can you afford a house here in Middle Tennessee in certain areas? Probably not. You're probably going to be struggling a little bit with that. So now what do we do? And then if prices go up, but your salary went up, I mean, and somebody said, well, maybe your son didn't have soft hands. First of all, my son's 14, and he doesn't have soft hands. He's a boy and rides his bike everywhere and plays hockey and likes to punch people. So his hands aren't too soft. But I asked him, he's just, that's never been his. He does want to go. Like I told him, he says, Dad, I don't want to go to college. I want to go. He wants to get a trade. A trade is not manufacturing, and you can get a trade now. And, 30 years ago, maybe a trade was something. Maybe manufacturing was something in certain areas. It's just not what it once was. And this thought process to bring stuff home, which sounds great, but, let's manufacture the stuff that matters here. That's fine. Fantastic. Some of the other stuff where we're going to be price-oriented, it's going to be a tough time. It is. He does have soft hands, right? No, he's a boy. Plays golf. His hands are beat up and a mess. That's what boys do. That's what they should be doing. And he does like hockey. That's why I keep saying, I'm saying, Jack, you're such a... I said, he's such a great golfer. He's like so good. And I said, you don't want to play golf? He goes, Dad, I like to hit people. Like smashing into stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. You can't do that with hockey? You can't do that with golf? Like when a guy's getting ready to make a putt, they may beat you? You can't lay him out?
Why have you not explained to him that these two things can intersect just like in Happy Gilmore?
Yeah. But he doesn't see. The thing is, he doesn't get hit. He does. It's what it is. It's the sitting around waiting.
Just tell him the price is wrong and let him deck the guy.
The price is wrong, Bob. Wrong indeed. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to get to. We're going to talk a bit about what took place last week in the stabbing of Austin Metcalf and why is this now a race story? How did this become political? How did the dad who said he forgave the alleged perpetrator who killed his son, how is he now getting thrown under the bus for not being hateful enough? That's the kind of insanity we're dealing with today. Got some of your text messages as well. It is interesting. I know a lot of you excited about manufacturing. Again, I hang out with a lot of young people because my little brothers and sisters are in their 20s, and no is the answer I get across the board from the manufacturing. No, thank you on that. And they've all self-educated, chose different paths, but hell, these kids can't sit still for 5 minutes. They bitch about going to the office now. Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
My goodness me.
Showing up to an assembly line or something like that.
All day. What are you going to do? Stand here and just stare at this? Make sure this gets into there.
Repeating the same motions over and over again.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe this might be great for an older generation who wants to get back out there and work.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump stole all your Social Security and gave it to Elon Musk. Oh, it's Chad Benson, Super Talk. Rough Greens, RUFFgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega 369, all this credible stuff packed into an amazing supplement you give your dog. And yes, they have it for your cat. Call Meow Greens. Right now, 90-day challenge for your dog. It's incredible. First 30 days, more energy, shinier coat. By day 60, the coat is not only shinier, it's fuller. Then you're going to start to notice some other things, like the immune system's going to be stronger. You're going to see more mobility in their aches and pains subside. By day 90, heart health's improve, immunity strong, coat is full, they're happier, they're healthier. Try a Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens today for free. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping, no more than that. RUFFgreens.com. Go there, use my code Chad. Try this. Put them to the test, 1 scoop a day for 90 days. Watch what it does for your dogs. Roughgreens.com. Use code CHAD.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Well, Tennessee lawmakers close to passing illegal immigration legislation as soon as today. We'll tell you about it at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The case involves a man whom the government has cast as a member of MS-13 engaged in human trafficking. But in court, the administration has acknowledged Kilmar Abrego Garcia has no criminal history, either here or in El Salvador, and it admits it was a mistake to send him there, given an immigration judge had blocked his deportation to his native country. But the Justice Department now argues a judge can't force the government to negotiate his return from the Salvadoran prison where he was sent, and it's seeking the immediate intervention of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Oh, they got it wrong? Maybe, kind of, sort of. Oops. So the judge said you got to bring him home. And so there's going to be a battle here on whether or not you bring this guy back. And this is where if you screwed up, you stand up and you say, you know what, we screwed up on that one. We need to bring him home, and you go from there. If you have evidence that this guy is a absolute and by the way, not a Real Madrid soccer tattoo, right? One of the things I saw, I have a crown on my arm. That was one of the crowns they have. So based on that, they go, oh, you're part of this. So part of the MS-13. No. And I'd be MS-14 because I'm almost one above.
MS-14.
Mayonnaise Surprise. That's the name of my gang. Mayonnaise Surprise. Surprise. You measure once, twice, 3 times. There's going to be mistakes. That's the one thing about, Elon. Elon came out and goes, of course we're going to make mistakes. And then we rectify them. We fail quick and we go. And so we'll find out if they're going to bring this guy home. They're going to do everything they can to not bring him back if he is not part of MS-13. They're still not going to bring him back. And you got to bring him back if you screwed up. And you just say, look, we screwed up. We were under the pressure. We raided an area. We thought they were MS-13. We took a bunch in. He was caught up in it. For that, we apologize, and we make it right.
All Trump has to do is call the president of El Salvador and say, put him on a plane, send him back, please.
Yeah. Let's not make a big deal about it and go from there. And that'll be that. But they'll make a big deal out of it. And I don't know exactly, they're pretty sure he's a part of this. But there's also a lot of people, even some gang members, like, yeah, this guy's not it. Like, we know gang members. This cat ain't it. The gay hairdresser, too, that they sent down there. I'm not quite sure about that one.
Yeah, that fella.
Yeah, that guy.
About him.
Yeah, we're going to make mistakes. It's okay to say you made a mistake. We do it all the time, right? It happens. But let's fix them. That's what separates us from the wacky stuff that they did, is you go and you hold your own accountability. Say, you guys made a mistake. Enough. Bring him home, and let's apologize and be done with it. That's how you separate yourself from the wackadoos and the people that came before. That's it. You do that, you're doing it right, it's good. Now, if somebody really is a part of it, hell yeah, get him the hell out of here and then some. But if they're not, and we've made a mistake, we should be big enough to stand up and say, we've made a mistake. And the media is going to jump all over it. But you say, you know what? We rectified the situation, guys. We made a mistake. We're not going to be perfect. Show me the last administration that was absolutely perfect. You can't. You can't show any administration that's ever been perfect on anything. Because there isn't one. And there doesn't seem to be a perfect administration or a perfect person still left. Bring an illegal immigrant back here so we can deport him. Is he here illegally? No, he was actually granted full asylum because he was apparently tortured in Venezuela. So, and he escaped because of his political beliefs. And that's one of the asylum things we actually get and we give. So we'll see. We'll see again if this takes everything is going to be fixed where? In the courts. That's the way it works nowadays. Coming up, second hour, let's talk about what happened in Texas last week. A bunch of other stuff to get to. If you're missing the show, shame, grab the podcast. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
It's 1 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Sunshine's supposed to return, but will be chilly the next 2 nights. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Damage assessment from the stormy weekend. The stormy weekend continues. Just got an update on when everyone's power will be restored in Nashville. Channel 4 says NES estimates everyone's lights will be back on by 10 o'clock tonight. Meanwhile, TEMA Director Patrick Sheehan's urging anyone with damage to report it because it's a necessary step toward requesting federal assistance on top of the state and local assistance already in place.
But in the meantime, Tennesseans that have assistance should let us know. So your county emergency management agencies are standing by with their partners. The State Emergency Operations Center and TEMA are standing by with our nonprofit partners to make assistance available.
Death tolls at 10 in Tennessee and 10 more across several other states. Tennessee lawmakers are close to passing illegal immigration legislation. A bill that would allow school districts refuse to enroll illegal immigrant children has one more hurdle to clear today. And a bill that establishes a list of out-of-state driver's licenses issued to undocumented people that will be invalid in Tennessee could go to Governor Lee's desk if it passes the state Senate today. Trade wars. President Trump threatening China with a 50% tariff in retaliation for 34% China announced on the U.S. Trump says it goes into effect tomorrow unless China withdraws. Here's Karen Travers.
We're looking to see if any countries are able to successfully negotiate down the tariffs that the president announced last week. Now, remember, the 10% baseline tariff did go into effect over the weekend, but it's Wednesday where those other tariffs on about 60 countries go into effect. Those are the high ones that we were seeing on close allies like South Korea, Japan, Vietnam, and of course, China and the European Union.
Earlier this morning, there was a false claim on social media that President Trump was considering pausing the tariffs. It briefly sent U.S. stocks soaring higher, an indication of just how volatile the current economic situation has become when it comes to stocks. Trump administration wants the U.S. Supreme Court to step in and block a federal judge from ordering the return of a man the U.S. sent to El Salvador last month. The man's family insists he has no ties to gangs. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
Maryland-based federal judge Paul Asinas has set a midnight deadline for the man's return. Now that a 3-judge appeals panel has denied a request for a stay of her order, the administration is seeking the immediate intervention of the Supreme Court. Pointing to claims that Kilmar Abrego Garcia was a member of MS-13, the administration calls Judge Sinas's order unprecedented and indefensible. It says it can't now force El Salvador to turn back over a man whom the government admits it sent to that country in error.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Earlier today at the White House, the Los Angeles Dodgers celebrating their World Series win with the president.
And others. We have a couple of senators here. I just don't particularly like them, so I won't introduce. Over the course of this amazing season, the members of this team...
Peak Trump.
It's like,
that is peak Trump.
that is. We got a bunch of people here I don't really like. And so, you know what? Even though this is their team, I don't care about you. Adam Schiff and one of the Dodgers are there. Dip Schiff, what are you doing here? Not a long ball hitter. Why is he here? That is so Donald right there. Just a smile on his face with a laugh. Chance to me to be a comedian. And I got athletes here. You know I like the athletes. We like hanging out.
You know, for better or worse, he has actually got to be probably the most honest president we've had in the last 50 to 60 years.
Absolutely.
You know,
Nobody's been more honest. You know, it's funny. His honesty is odd because he lies about stupid things. I caught a fish. It's probably a great white. It was a bluegill.
It was a great white.
You know, I thought it was a great white. You know, you did catch a fish, but why'd you put mustard on it, right? You caught a bull shark. You didn't catch a great white, but still. It's a man-eater.
And anybody can make that mistake.
Caught it with my bare hands.
That's right. You caught it with my bare. You didn't. You caught it. You were there. You reeled it in on the reel, and then we picked it up. But then when it comes to other stuff that matters, he tells you the truth. But everything is always a competition, right? He's the guy that's always going to one-up you. It's like, dude, I went fishing this weekend. I caught a tiger shark, but it was a baby. It's like, oh, really? I caught a megalodon.
I proved they're not extinct.
It's great. I can't show you the pictures because it was a no-picture zone.
Jason Statham said it was awesome.
That's right. He's like, I can't believe you did that. Well done for you, mate. I love Jason Statham.
Yeah.
What's your movie about? I'm a guy who's like a nice guy, but I just have a regular job, and then somebody kidnaps somebody I care about, and I have to kill everyone.
Exactly.
Then you find out I used to be in a super secret cell where we were called the butterflies. The beekeeper, the butterflies, working man.
I'm going to be kicking people's asses by the end of the movie.
Like, I want to go see The Working Man, but I know what it is. It's all they do is just take the same script, and they're like, his name is Steve here.
Yeah.
Before it was Roger. Next it's going to be Alfie, and they just changed the name. This guy here doesn't run these guys are mobsters, and they're not actually running a technology company.
Dude, I watched that John Lithgow and
the
Jeffrey
puppet
Rush.
Movie?
Yeah, the role of Jenny Penn.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I've watched a lot of weird movies in my time. I'm a huge David Lynch fan. David Lynch, if he was still with us, may God rest his soul, he would put his stamp of approval on this movie.
Really?
It is very uncomfortable.
Is it creepy?
It's very creepy.
You know, John Lithgow is a great creeper.
Oh, he is, man. Yeah, watch this. Watch this movie.
Like, okay, now I'm going to have to watch it. I tried to get the kids to watch it this weekend.
Yeah, it's
like, we should totally watch this. They're like, no, we're going to watch Smile too. I'm like, all right, that's fine. Your kids, I get it. I'm like, you don't want to watch, because they're at that age where they want to watch scary movies.
Sure.
But I think this might be a little too,
This one is twisted.
Ooh, yeah. And it's got Jeffrey Rush in it, right?
Yeah, I got Jeffrey Rush, John Lithgow. I don't know the name of the other main character, the actor who plays the other main character, but it's good, man. And it's just pure acting. Writing and acting.
With twisted weirdos.
With John Lithgow as the psychopath.
In an old folks home.
In an old folks home where he's the only one that can get around without a wheelchair.
Oh, that is spectacular. You know what I saw today? The trailer for Megan 2. Remember Megan?
Mm-hmm.
So the new Megan, I'll give you a little spoiler alert. The new Megan, Sisu was a great movie too. The new Megan is, they've destroyed all the stuff for Megan, but Megan's still alive.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she lives inside this little goofy robot, and she's pissed about it. But there's somebody else stole the other's plans and now have made a killer robot for like a new Megan, but it's an adult Megan. So they're like, the only way we can stop it is to bring back the old Megan. She's like, it's about time. And it's hilarious because she's in this like R2-D2 robot that's literally stupid and she's pissed off about it. Oh, I can't wait to hear that. That's going to be a great movie.
That was a great film, man. That was a good film.
A lot of good stuff. A lot of you guys chiming in about the deportation stuff. And look, we can agree to disagree. I want to measure twice and cut once. I want to get it right because I think it's the right thing to do. And there's so many of these cases that are going on. Is it the soccer player? It's not the same person as the guy in Maryland. It's not the same person that was the hairdresser. It's not. There's so many of these cases. And they're all going to be decided at some point in time by what goes on at the Supreme Court, which is going to take a while to get to. Although they've asked for an expedient, way to get to the Supreme Court for some of these cases. I think that'll happen. But this is still going to be, what happens if the Supreme Court comes back and says, yeah, you don't have the right to do this. You got to bring it back. Are they just going to say no? Well, then what do we do with the Supreme Court at that point in time? Which I don't think is going to happen. I think Trump's going to win that. But if you do mess up, you should have to bring him back. And that's going to be the battle that's going to go on. And I want the worst first gone. Absolutely. We should all want that. 100%. We shouldn't be having this goofy conversation. Well, sure, absolutely we should get rid of the worst first. At the same time, if we do the right thing the right way, less whining, less moaning, less freaking out, and you get to stand on your your moral high horse and go, we did everything correct, which is what you want. Because they all too often are accusing everybody on the right of, you're usurping power, you guys are Nazis, you're not. No, we're none of those things. We're doing the right thing. And you guys decided to let everybody in here. You did. Which, by the way, I'll find it. What's his name? Bernie talking to 10 years ago about how open borders was the Koch brothers' idea, which it kind of was, and how it was a right-wing idea. That they wanted cheap labor. And then he tried to say that everybody's going to get paid $1, like the Koch brothers were going to have a factory where everybody got paid $1, which is ridiculous. But still, yeah, both sides have played this game with illegal immigration for way too long. And now Trump's calling them out on it. Thank God for that. It was a horrible situation, if you guys didn't hear, about a kid who got killed last week. Austin Metcalf was his name. So he's at a track meet. And during the track meet, he's there with his team and his twin brother, and they're inside. They've got like a tent. Each team has their own little tent. Another kid, Carmelo Anthony is his name, not the basketball player. I have to say that. Not the basketball player, the Hall of Fame basketball player. Goes into their tent, and there is a kerfuffle. Going back and forth, kind of yelling at each other, pushing, and then what ends up happening, a fight ensues, and Carmelo Anthony stabs Austin Metcalf in the heart. Kills him. He dies in his twin brother's arms. It's horrible. Now, people are saying, well, it's a race thing. He said a bunch of racial things. He came, which all the witnesses saying none of that stuff happened. The father saying none of that. The father wasn't there. But all of this stuff is blowing up. But what you're getting now is you've got tons of GoFundMes. They're Give, Send, Go, because I don't think you can do a GoFundMe for murderers and stuff. The Give, Send, Go is something you can do. And they're raising tons of money for this kid and his defense. And it's up to there's several of them. And I'm talking, they're up to a couple $100,000 when you start adding them all up. But guess what? The black community is frustrated by this, saying, well, wait a minute, you're making this guy a hero? This kid's not a hero.
So the father of Carmelo Anthony, who is the 17-year-old teen who stabbed and killed the other 17-year-old teen, Austin Metcalf, at a track meet, is now saying that, his son was a good kid and he didn't do anything wrong and he had a 3.7 GPA and he was a good kid and he wasn't the aggressor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And again, this is what I tell black people. You never hold your children and you never hold each other accountable when this stuff happens.
Holding people accountable is great. We need to hold people accountable. Now, mind you, you got a lot of not black conservatives, black Americans coming out going, You don't celebrate this. This kid is not this is not a situation where you're celebrating a kid here who is somehow, they've made him out to be some sort of hero, which I've seen several tweets. This kid's just like Daniel Penny. This is how you defend him. They tried to put him in the back of the bus, Jim Crow era, and he came and he protected himself. I'm going to go back to two things. First, you're in a tent that's not yours. Okay? Secondly, why'd you bring a knife to a track meet? I don't know what kind of track meets are taking place in certain areas. I mean, and I've always thought track's kind of boring, but why'd you bring a knife to a track meet at all? And why is it the first response of anybody, especially young people today, young men, the first time something happens, you go straight to violence, and violence that is deadly? Why?
Yo, I'm going to have to pop off for a little bit. The tribalism in the black community needs to end. It needs to end. Point blank period, it needs to end. The same people who tried to make George Floyd a hero, who built statues of the man and compared him to MLK, are now trying to make 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, who stabbed to death an innocent young boy simply because he touched his backpack, a victim. Someone who committed cold-blooded murder. There is no world in which Carmelo Anthony is a victim.
He's not a victim. He's not. He's not. He's not a victim. You killed somebody. Now, the father has been out there for Austin Metcalf saying, I have forgiven him. That's more he said, for himself than for the victim, but still says he should pay the price, and that includes the death penalty. But now he's getting blowback because, you can't say that in today's world. Now people go, no. This thing became a race thing when it shouldn't have, because people wanted to make it that way. And then it became an us versus them, which it shouldn't be. It's two young kids, and one of them decided to do something heinous and kill somebody else and ruin their life, the other family's life, change it forever. Why again? Why? Why is the first instinct of young men in today's world to go and to do something violent?
We need to divorce ourselves from this false notion that just because someone looks like us, we need to defend everything that they do. That's how we end up defending people like R. Kelly. That's how we end up defending people like O.J. Simpson, people like Bill Cosby. It's wrong. I don't care what you look like, if you're blue, green, yellow, orange, white, orange, or turquoise. If you do wrong, I'm going to call balls and strikes. Wrong is wrong. And what Carmelo Anthony did was point blank wrong.
Yeah. What's turquoise? What group would that be? Native Americans?
Subcontinent Indians.
Yeah. So Native, I would say, because they got the turquoise. He's right, though. Call balls and strikes. But this became a bigger race issue that it shouldn't have. This was bad kid in a bad moment doing a bad thing. He had already been in trouble, by the way, for bringing a knife to school. Somebody pointed out he'd skipped school that day. He'd been suspended on numerous occasions. Everybody's going, oh, this poor kid, and people are take away the color of it. It was a horrific moment that has changed people's lives. But color is something that we can no longer get away from, and that people want to politicize. People will politicize anything. If you let your lawn grow a little too much in an HOA, somebody will say something. The next thing you know, everybody's politicizing it, and you're fighting. This was a horrible thing. But yes, holding yourself accountable, you should hold this guy up no more than anybody should hold Luigi Mangione up as some sort of hero. When you killed somebody, then you tried to get a bill named after him. Again, as if he's some sort of hero. He's anything but a hero. He's the exact opposite of that. He is an alleged murderer.
Is it all these black social justice warriors online saying that we need to hear the other side? Here is the primary fact that we're dealing with. A young boy is dead over a backpack because of a kid who didn't know how to control himself because of the conditions around which he was raised. And that is a travesty. But that doesn't make him a victim.
No, it doesn't. And he's not a victim. And what he did was victimize somebody and ruin his life and many others around it. Not a victim. You chose. If you were being attacked and beaten by 12 kids and you took out a knife and defended yourself, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But it wasn't that way. And your first instinct was, go to your backpack and pick out a knife and stab somebody. Coming up, a lot of stuff to get to. Got some of your text messages. Somebody said the people raising money are the same ones who cheered when OJ was found not guilty. People cheer for that? I don't know if people cheered. Did people cheer for the OJ thing? I was so deep into the OJ thing because of where I worked. It was just, I was just glad it was over. But it's never over with OJ. I think we all know that. He's still looking for the killer, even from beyond the grave. It is the Chet Benson Show. It's Super Talk 99.7. Bulwark Capital. In today's world, with as chaotic as everything is, do you know what's going on with your capital? Are you ready to protect yourself? Bulwark can help you with that. Once you get a second opinion with them, what's going on with your investments and your retirement. Let's build something out for you, as my buddy likes to say, Zach Abraham, and build it out in such a way that you're protected to the downside. Lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility, give you the most upside potential. And that doesn't mean just investing in the stock market here. Globally, opportunities are abound, and that's what Bulwark looks out for. That's what makes them so much different than everybody else out there. I want you to do this. Call, get a second opinion with them today. It's not going to cost you a thing, but a little bit of time, right? You call, they go over everything you've got, and they build something for you specific, not cookie cutter, but you specifically. Call 866-779-RISK. That's 866-779-RISK. Or check out everything they do at knowyourriskradio.com. That is KNOW, yourriskradio.com. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance not guarantee future results. Trek 24173.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
All right, drivers, got a stalled vehicle blocking the right two lanes of 65 northbound at Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. That's going to be exit 95. And a stalled vehicle right shoulder block 40 eastbound at 46th Avenue, 51st Avenue, exit 205. Still doing some work on some bridges. Has the left lane closed. 840 eastbound at I-65 in Paytonsville, Williamson County. And Tennessee Emergency Management Agency Director with some advice as storm damage assessment continues across Tennessee. Coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What are we protesting today?
Donald Trump.
Well, what's Donald Trump doing that we're protesting?
Well, he is up the American democracy right now and trying to kind of repeal a bunch of in the Constitution, like, rights and liberties. So,
is there anything in specific that he's...
I don't have all the information, but...
Wait. You don't have all the information? You're there? What are you doing here if you don't have all the information? You're supposed to tell me why he's a Nazi and he's taking everything away. Well, I don't have all that information right now. We're going to keep that quiet amongst ourselves because we're in an ongoing investigation.
What are you against?
Personally, I'm against tyrants. I'm against tyranny. That's what I'm against.
What is that?
Somebody who's coming in and trying to take over the country and get rid of the rules and regulations that have existed for centuries to keep us citizens safe.
And who do you think is doing that?
Currently, Donald Trump and Elon Musk and all of his cabinet members.
Really? I'm against tyranny. I'm against tyranny, too. So.
I like tyrants.
That's the most... let's just throw something out there. I'm against
oppression,
murder.
Yeah, I don't like murder.
Why are you here? I'm against murder. Hold on, let me tell you. I got it right here. I'm against. No, page 3 is what I'm against. Tyranny. I'm against the tyranny, the tyrannicals.
I don't like faxism.
Faxism. I hate when people fax me stuff. Man, when it's too much faxism, faxamil, fax, you know what I'm talking about. The Nazis were all about the faxes. Are you trying to say fascist? What did I say? Faxism. Just a bunch of idiots. The one guy we played earlier, we'll play him again later. He was just out there to pick up chicks.
Yeah.
He has no friends. He's got no game and no friends.
It's going to be a part of something.
Yeah, which is great. You know what? Young kids, y'all want to be a part of something. That's fine. Go out there. You know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about. You don't, because we all have been in that thing. Yeah, and they want to be a part of something. And right now, they feel like they're not a part of something, apparently. Because climate change didn't really go the way they thought it was going to go. They were like, this is going to be the great thing. Climate change is going to change everything. And it didn't, right? Like Greta lost her. Once Greta got over 18, she kind of lost her, her steam. Once it wasn't cute anymore for going, how dare you?
How dare you?
Now you just look angry. I don't even know you, girl.
She got her driver's license. She's out partying with her friends now, man.
Well, now she's all about Palestine.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, how's climate change doing with Palestine? What's that all about? Are they a part of that? They don't have food. I know that. And it's ugly over there.
Oh, it is.
Man, did you see that? They bombed those journalists.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm part Jew. Not a fan of anti-Semitism. I'll tell you that right now. But can Israel go a little hard? And boy, are they full of it as much as anybody. What was the one the other night with the paramedic? It's like, come on, guys. Like, that guy was pretty much sure going to blow stuff up. I'm like, he looked like an aid worker that you killed. And the journalists, don't be bombing tents.
Yeah, they're serious.
Yeah, they're serious. And I get it. Everybody around you's that way. But at the same time, you're going to make mistakes, but this is something that's not going to change. Let's be honest. Unless the rest of the Middle East gets involved on top of Europe and us, this is going to go on forever. Because if you think these two and a few others are going to hash something out and it's going to be good, think again. They've been fighting forever.
I just, I wonder if some of these other countries, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, if they are just secretly saying, well, maybe Israel's going to take this away.
Oh, you know what? There's probably they only used to like Palestine when it was a great way to hate the Jews. But now that they don't mind doing business with the Jews, it's like, God, you guys are more pain in the ass than you're worth.
And they hate Iran.
Oh yeah, they all hate Iran. So, and which makes Israel their number one worst frenemy, right? Like, because at the end of the day, Israel's never going to let them get a nuclear weapon, because a nuclear weapon there is a disaster for the entire Middle East. So there's so much that goes into us. But yeah, I think if they had their druthers, quietly, they would go, yeah, if the Palestinians were gone, you move them somewhere else, not kill them, but just move them somewhere else, and you knew that they weren't going to be, extremists, we would all absorb them, but we can't trust them. See every nation around there that has allowed them in from the 60s and see what happens. From the Muslim Brotherhood to the overthrowing, or at least trying, in Jordan to the nightmare in several other places. They just can't trust them. So I think they would like the headache to go away. But you can't say that because the extremist. Coming up, a lot of stuff to get to. Basketball game on tonight. Man, Duke, you guys crapped the bed. What was that all about? Good God. Shame!
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 Shame! That should be Duke's new call. Shame! It's Jeb Benson Joe, Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Tennessee Emergency Management Agency Director Patrick Sheehan says storm damage assessment continues across the state.
But in the meantime, Tennesseans that have assistance should let us know. So your county emergency management agencies are standing by with their partners. The State Emergency Operations Center and TEMA are standing by with our nonprofit partners to make assistance available.
Tennessee Department of Health reported and confirmed 10 weather-related fatalities in Tennessee alone. A new effort to try to make it easier to see about and get federal flood insurance. Americans can now get free direct flood insurance quotes from the Federal Emergency Management Agency through a new website, floodsmart.gov. Tariffs. ABC News business correspondent Alexis Christoforous, who says Trump's meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today could be an indicator as to how the markets perform.
I think a lot's going to depend on how that meeting goes. What is the vibe investors get from that? Is President Trump willing to negotiate? And if so, by how much? And I think if they are positive, if they believe that, there is room for negotiating, that we could see stocks bump back up. I don't know if we're going to be in the green by the end of the day, but we could see investors feel comfortable enough to come back in a little bit.
President Trump threatening China with an additional 50% tariff for the 34% China slapped on the U.S. last night. Meanwhile, reports say some Republican U.S. senators urging the president to take the European Union's offer of 0 for 0 tariffs. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Beacon Capital Management. Your retirement ready toolkit. In today's age, you may need that retirement ready toolkit. You know, the great thing about Beacon is, first of all, they're local. You can call them up, 615-488-9303. Retirement is so much more than just dollars and cents. It's a lot more than that. And Beacon is unique. They know that planning for retirement is a lot of things besides just your portfolio. A big part of what they do, things like tax planning, estate planning, even healthcare. They're full service across the board, and they want to talk to you about how they can help you. Maybe you've got a fear of taxes. Maybe you've got a fear of running out of your money. That's what the Retirement Ready Toolkit is for from Beacon. So if you're in retirement, you're nearing retirement, why don't you call them today, 615-488-9303, 615-488-9303, and they'll send you out a free Retirement Ready Toolkit. Now, you're going to get a Money Enough for Life book, retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper, all at no cost, no obligation, absolutely no pressure. Call Beacon today, find out what they can do for you. 615-488-9303, or find them online at askbeaconnow.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
A lot of people chiming in. Somebody said we didn't know what we were talking about when it came to Israel. This is what I know about Israel. They're badasses. They don't take any crap. But can they make mistakes? I love how people think that, well, if I like them, they can never make a mistake. We've talked about it for a long time, talked about it for years. That, yeah, you know what? They hide themselves, the Palestinians and in particular Hamas, amongst the groups of people, all of that stuff. But to say that Israel can't make a mistake every now and then is fooling yourself. I mean, do we make mistakes? Oh, I don't know. We had that horrific pullout in Afghanistan. Then we killed a man and his 7 daughters after he went out for milk. You guys remember that? Of course that can happen. And it is ugly over there, and it's not going to get better anytime soon. The frustration, by the way, in Israel is massive. People are marching in the streets. They're pissed. They're angry. They feel like this is a never-ending battle. And it is, because the powers that be aren't interested in a solution right now for peace. And it is going to take a lot more than just Trump and a few other people talking in, Saudi Arabia or Qatar or wherever they're going to talk this week to get this thing done. And that's because if you're Hamas, right, you're never giving any of those people back, if you even know where half of them are, which I doubt you do. And on the other side of it, Israel at this point in time is, I think, just figuring out, what can we do to continue this in hopes to drive them out, kill them? I mean, I have no idea exactly what their end game is. I don't think anybody does at this point in time. The end game would be peace, but peace ain't coming anytime soon. We should all recognize that. No time soon is peace showing up there. What is going on with us? Well, we got so much stuff going on. We got tariffs. We got more tariffs. We got a lot of tariffs. Are there going to be more tariffs from China onto China and then China back to this and then onto China and back to us?
President Trump Monday threatened to again increase tariffs on China if Beijing doesn't remove the retaliatory tariffs it placed on the U.S. The president said his administration would put additional tariffs on China of 50% effective Wednesday, April 9th. A senior White House official said this would be in addition to the 34% tariff President Trump announced last week, set to go into effect that same day. There are already 20% tariffs in place on China, which means there's a potential for a total of 104%. China called the Trump administration's policy, quote, economic bullying.
Economic bullying. So who's bullying who in this scenario? I feel like, are we bullying them? Are they bullying us? Here's something else. Why aren't we going after some of these companies? Why aren't we either sweetening a deal to get them back here, if we're really that serious, telling the onshore stuff, not only are we going to figure out a way to get you through a certain time when it comes to taxes and stuff like that, but, why don't we figure out how we do certain things? Like, why aren't we going after some of them? Because some of them already left China, Nike being a big one. They bounced. They went to Vietnam hoping to get away from the tariffs, only to find out that the tariffs showed up there. So that didn't go the way they thought. Oh, Nike. But I think it's a fair question in that sense of why aren't we, just like, when it comes with immigration, right? Like, why aren't we going after the employers? You want to employ a bunch of people that are here illegally? Pay the price for it. Watch what happens. If you're that serious about cutting off everything, then that's what you do. But how serious is everybody cutting off stuff? Trump may be, but is the rest of the politicians? Maybe, maybe not. And when tariffs will matter is when they start to affect your pocketbook. The minute life gets more expensive and you go from just getting by to, oh my God, inflation's back, on top of that, tariffing's back, on top of that, life is now, I got to get a side hustle for my side hustle. That's when life becomes crap for you and you start to say things. The stock market, if you're 35, means very little at this moment in time unless you're a day trader. You don't want to see stuff go down, but you're in it for the long haul, right? So you're not in it for just today or this month. If you're 75, it's a different story, depending on how you got things set up. But how does it affect you today? That's all you need to know about. How does this affect me at this moment in time? Now, where it can affect you and all of us is if the market gets crushed and companies get shy about wanting to spend money and invest money and hold on to cash. Then it will affect us because we like to think that, yeah, these companies are going to put some money into the things they're doing. And if you're a small business, you're not sure if you're going to go out right now and hire. I don't know what tariffs are going to be like. So I can't make that decision about tomorrow, not sure about what's going to happen tomorrow. Because with Trump, you don't know. These things could be off in a week. They could be here for good. You don't know.
President Trump Monday threatened to again increase tariffs on China if Beijing doesn't remove the retaliatory tariffs it placed on the U.S. The president said his administration would put additional tariffs on China of 50%, effective Wednesday, April 9th. A senior White House official said this would be in addition to the 34% tariff President Trump.
So 34% on top of all the other stuff that we've got. When I listen to that, so we're looking at 100% here and 100%. What's it do for something, though? Does it make it? Somebody says we need to stop buying junk. I've said that for a long time. We're addicted to cheap goods because they're cheap. And so, but we've got to make the right goods here in America. We have to. There's no reason for us to, I said earlier, somebody said, well, we can make this. There's no reason to make socks here. If you want to make socks, that's fine. But, there's no reason to make to bring socks home and say, hey, we're going to make socks here. Well, we're not going to be able to compete. Even with some tariffs, we're not going to be able to compete. We make important things. We make chips, right? Cars, things that are important, things that are big. That's what we make here, especially when it comes to, and the easiest thing to onboard is our pharmaceutical. That's a huge and easy thing to do because we already have certain things set up for that. It's much easier. Now, it's easier to bring it back, but do we have the man and woman power, the person power, the workforce? Do we have that to do some of these? Because that's one of the other things, like with the chips. If we open up the chips factory, which has been delayed another year in Arizona, so that's the Taiwanese chip manufacturer. If we opened up today, we couldn't fill it. We'd have to import a bunch of people to work inside those factories. That is not that is a much different, precise kind of engineering. We just don't have the manpower for certain things. Certain things can be automated. Certain things is just standing there and monitoring. But we also make sure we have the manpower. And the same thing goes for like the pharmaceutical side. Bringing it back, do we have enough people to handle that?
This really isn't about data. It's about decision making. And when you don't quite know what the actual policies are, and it just depends on the president's whim from day to day, what you get is people who start betting on rumors or start whatever whisper campaign is going on, that they start to adjust accordingly. And that's just no way to run a rodeo, let alone the largest economy on earth.
Well, first of all, I don't want to run a rodeo, although we have a rodeo story coming up later. It's a tragic one. But certainty, stability, things in the market, that's what the market wants. The stock market doesn't care who runs the country. What they care about is their stability in what they do, right? Do I know tomorrow that it's going to be the same as today?
They want to know the rules they're going to be forced to play by, and they want them implemented so they can just deal with it.
Yeah. And for them right now, there is no certainty except uncertainty.
When businesses say they need certainty, what they mean is that they can't plan unless they have a clear road ahead. And so all of this back and forth is really freezing American businesses across the board. And I'd point out that even Trump supporters are now saying it. Elon Musk, of all people, said yesterday we should have a no tariff agreement with the EU. That's basically what we had until we started down this path.
We import some stuff, but China and because we're price conscious. Right? Like I said earlier, are you willing to pay, a lot of people out there willing to pay $1,000 for a phone. Are you willing to pay $3,500 for a phone? Probably not. And you don't want to pay $1,000 for a phone.
It's becoming like buying a car.
Yes. Yeah.
And Apple's probably shaking in their boots that they're going to have to jack up prices to the point where people are going to think twice about buying the brand new phone.
And they can't bring out a phone every 5 weeks, whatever it is. What'd you guys do this time? We tweaked this thing right here. The R is sideways.
Look, we made you taller.
Yeah, we put new stickers on the filters. Like, that's all they do.
The charging port is now lint-free.
Yeah. What's the new thing with it? Didn't they go back? They got away from their other charger, right? For their new stuff, I think.
What do you mean?
For Apple.
Oh, I thought everybody was using the same C-type now.
Yeah, I think they are now. Before they had that other one that was theirs that only they used. Was annoying.
It was almost like using a Sony product because Sony prides themselves on making sure their stuff is not compatible with anybody else's.
Yeah. So, but again, all of these things, people want certainty. The market wants certainty. They want to know what the rules are, and they're uncertain by this. We like cheap goods. We're addicted to it. Can we get off some cheap goods? Yes. But when it comes to certain things, especially, here's the thing. Even if we wanted to ramp up manufacturing today, that's going to take years for that to happen. And the adjustment of the prices compared to the economic side of your life, you're not going to be there yet. You're going to be, it's a lagging indicator, if you will, is going to be your salary. And so once your salary, once your paycheck, once your living changes because of tariffs, then I think Trump would absolutely notice. But until then, it's game on. Let's see what happens. I want him to succeed. Hell to the yeah. But I also understand politics is involved in this, and you never know with politics. I saw Ted Cruz come out this weekend. I saw some big supporters come out and say, I want him to succeed, but, I could also admit that there may be a bloodbath if we don't get this right. Well, yeah, if you don't get it right, there will be a bloodbath. You may want Trump to succeed. I may want him to succeed. But politically, could that shift? Yeah. And could they pay a price next year in midterms? Always a possibility. I'd like to think that it wasn't going to happen, but we don't know. Because you know what? This time next week, we'd be like, well, that was weird. The tariff war is already over. You never know with Trump. Reach out to us across all of our social media. We've got Twitch. We got Twitter. We got Facebook. We got YouTube. We got all the things.
Going for Rumble soon.
We're going to go rumbling soon. I think we're going to rumble and stumble into the jungle very, very soon, so you can check us out there, but not quite yet. Yeah, that's right. Coming up, speaking of rodeos. Tragedy. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega 369, all of this incredible stuff packed into an amazing supplement you give your dog on a daily basis. My dogs love it, love the taste of it, eat it up every single day. It's 1 scoop a day, and you're going to notice. So my dog's been taking it since we brought them home as pups, but your dog, you haven't tried it, and they got to. Try the 90-day challenge. The 90-day challenge, first 30 days, shinier coat, more energy. By day 60, your immune system is going to improve. The coat's going to be fuller, thicker, less shedding, and you're going to notice that their mobility is going to be a little bit better. By day 90, not only is their immune system improved, their heart health is improved, they're just healthy all around. Their digestive tract, it's incredible. Try a Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens today. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping. It's a $20 value, just a few bucks for the shipping, and take the 90-day challenge with Rough Greens. ruffgreens.com. Use my code Chad. ruffgreens.com, code Chad.
Storm damage assessment, and a business owner describes how she's going to stay in business if the tariffs go through. That's coming up at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
She's going to put cocaine inside of her cookies? Only if the cocaine's made in America.
Only made in America here, folks.
Oh, my goodness.
Unfortunately, most of that's made in Central America, so we're out of luck.
See? Can't. Somebody sent us Made in the USA. It was kind of interesting. So, like, Made in the USA matters, and you go and look on here, and you're like, okay, some of the stuff, yeah, you know what it is. But when you go to electronics and computers, they're like, finding a computer that's made somewhere else and made in the USA is impossible. So I can't get a computer? Not really. Because everything's manufactured everywhere else. It's not just China, by the way. Manufactured in Taiwan with the chips. Manufactured in several places. Not everything is China-based. The cheap goods we like may be made there. But not everything is Chinese-based. I think we think that everything is. It's not. But it's hard to find. Like, Guatemala makes a lot of stuff for us. And we have a trade surplus on the service side, which nobody talks about. And the service side is financial stuff, right? Like big time. When it comes to software, things of that nature, huge. Insurance. So on the service side, we have a big lead for most places when it comes to the surplus on service. It's goods that we have an issue with. Because, man, we love to consume. Speaking of foreigners, October 5th, 2005, man by the name of Sasha, that's his nickname, did this.
George M. Johnson's.
Halpern shaded there by Rick Nash. Dinas Zubris spins. Ovechkin fires. He scores! Alexander Ovechkin, welcome on board.
What a first goal for Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah. I never thought anybody would catch Wayne Gretzky in my life. I never did. Then last night, lo and behold, in Long Island, the Islanders, they're from Washington, the Capitals. He beats Gretzky.
Back into his own zone there. But no, look, he's just trying to find a seam and know that, hey, I'm going to try to force it to him if he's open.
Here is Ovechkin. Shoots. He scores! He scores! Number 895!
My son and I were watching it. He is crazy. He is hilarious. He's Russian. And he's like Putin's favorite person on the planet. There's nobody that Putin likes more than this guy. And by the way, when they won the Stanley Cup a few years ago, if you guys want to see hilarity, so when they won the Stanley Cup, honest to God, he was drunk for 3 months straight. He would show up
Putin
places.
Was or
Ovechkin. He would show up places without a shirt, like at an IHOP, and drink for 5 hours, chanting and screaming. They never knew where he was going to be.
It's like Bert Kreischer.
It's exactly what it was like.
Awesome. Didn't have a shirt on.
Yeah. It was. But last night, the funny thing, I was telling Bell, so Gretzky's there, because Gretzky said, look, when I broke Gordie Howe's record, he was there with me. Gretzky, 1,487 games he played. Last night was Ovechkin's 1,487th game.
Wow.
But Gretzky was there. But there's a picture of Ovechkin, Gretzky, and Cash Patel in the locker room after the game, which is just so bizarrely random.
Do they have shirts on?
The Ovechkin probably didn't.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ovechkin, if you know anything about hockey players, they're not built like they're built more like football players in a lot of ways. They're not super thin. That was always my brother's problem. He was 6'3", but he could never put weight on.
Yeah.
And Ovechkin is built like a house and with no teeth. And the minute he walked into the place afterwards last night, people met him there from the Capitals handing him beers. And his wife's with him, and he's got a bunch of beers in his hands. She got nothing. She got nothing. Coming up, hour number 3 of the program on this Monday. Who knows what we'll talk about? I guarantee it'll be fun. And we have a Nature Mess You Up segment, too, as well. So don't think that that's not coming. It is Chad Benson, Super Talk 99.7.
2 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Sunshine is supposed to return as soon as today, but we're going to be chilly. We'll tell you about it during the full forecast in 5 minutes. Storm damage assessment underway across Tennessee, a necessary step, officials say, before asking for federal recovery assistance. Denise Morgan lives in Dyersburg in West Tennessee, and she's thankful the tornado threat is over.
There's just been so many tornadoes lately that it's just scary of the devastation in so many different places.
Tennessee Emergency Management Agency Director Patrick Sheehan says the storms are over, but not the flooding.
It's going to take quite a bit of time for that water to recede. In some places, it could take weeks. So if you have roads that are covered in water, we ask that you turn around and don't drown.
At least 20 people are dead, 10 of them here in Tennessee alone. Trade war update, tariffs threatening higher prices on everything from electronics to clothing to certain groceries. What about bakeries? Ileana Berkowitz runs one in the Bay Area of California.
I'm going to have to be taking a hard look at our prices to the consumer, my labor and those costs to my business, and just overall costs. I want to make sure that the business can be profitable and stay sustainable.
Meanwhile, some advice from ABC News business correspondent Alexis Christoforous about panic buying.
You don't want to give in to panic buying. I know we hear all these stories about people running out trying to get a deal. If it doesn't work for your wallet right now, it doesn't make sense to go into debt now to finance a large purchase now that you really can't afford just because you're trying to avoid possibly higher costs later.
And President Trump threatening another 50% tariff on China. The Trump administration wants the U.S. Supreme Court to step in and block a federal judge from ordering by midnight tonight the return of a man the U.S. mistakenly sent to El Salvador last month. Stephen Portnoy says the man's family denies he has ties to gangs.
The case involves a man whom the government has cast as a member of MS-13 engaged in human trafficking. But in court, the administration has acknowledged Kilmar Abrego Garcia has no criminal history, either here or in El Salvador, and it admits it was a mistake to send him there, given an immigration judge had blocked his deportation to his native country. But the Justice Department now argues a judge can't force the government to negotiate his return from the Salvadoran prison where he was sent, and it's seeking the immediate intervention of the U.S. Supreme Court.
And as a week-long nationwide boycott of Walmart has begun, the company announcing a response, says ABC's Chuck Severson.
The boycott of Walmart is organized by the People's Union USA over the big retailer's rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, or DEI. Walmart announces it's working with other leading corporations, including Verizon, Blackstone, and PepsiCo, and given a grant toward a new website, skillsfirst.org, listing requirements for 9 of the most common U.S. jobs to help job seekers and employers that don't necessarily need a college degree.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Yeah, thunderstruck. The Dow Jones down a little bit today, 401. Blah. If you're trading the Dow and you're short, you made a little bit of money today. Good for you. If you were long, you had a chance earlier when everybody thought there would be a 90-day pause. So maybe you made a little bit of money.
I have a really, really, really kind of embarrassing, ignorant question to ask. Explain shorting the market to me.
So shorting the market is you're expecting the market to go down.
Right.
Going long is you expect it to go up. So when you short the market, that means you're essentially you're betting on that the market is going to collapse, and every time it goes down a point, you make money on that.
But if you're betting that stocks are going to go down, don't you have to purchase? I mean,
No. You're betting.
How does this work?
You're selling somebody. There's a buy and a sell and everything.
Right.
Okay. So you're buying and selling something, and so for you selling the market, you bought it from somebody, or you're selling it to somebody expecting it to go down. A lot of times, people are doing options. They expect it to go down a certain price, and every time it goes down closer to that price, you make closer money to it. Day traders are selling. They're expecting the market to go down because there's a winner and a loser. So when people say $14 trillion disappeared, market cap may have, but other people made money on the market going down the last several days.
But if the stock is going down, where is the money coming from that you're making?
Somebody's buying that. So you sold it to them at a price, right? Like you're selling. So you sell it to them for $100. They're buying it from you from $100, right? It goes down. You're going to make the difference between that 100 and if it goes down to 60. So you've collected that cash, and you may now. So if here's a perfect example. So if I sell you something at 100, and it collapses down to 60, okay. So I've collected $100,
right?
I sell it back to you at 60. I make the difference between the two, which is the $40, because I've sold it. I sold it to you for more and bought it back for less.
Why would the person that you sold it to want to?
Because they're worried that it's going to continue to collapse.
Oh,
so
okay.
And then day trading that gets into all kinds of analytical wackadoo stuff. So there's a ton of ways to make money in the market, but that's a lot of people are short this market. They expected the market was already overinflated, and we've propped it up in many different ways. But a lot of people are day trading this market, and I got some friends who were who were short. I tried to get some positions, but I knew that today was the last couple of days was going to be ridiculous because when you try to buy on the market open, So, somebody said a horrible explanation of shorting. I'm explaining it to Bell.
Y'all don't pick on me. I'm just trying to educate myself.
Do we want to talk
a
about
little.
options? Are we selling into certain things? Are we collecting? It's like it's. There's 50 different ways you could do this. Are we? But a lot of people are short a lot of different things. You can be short the market itself. You can be short. So that's everything. The NASDAQ, the Dow. The S&P, you could be short companies. And so do you remember a few years ago, what was it? It was the GameStop. A lot of people shorted GameStop. A lot of these guys held positions, in GameStop. They were shorting
and then
GameStop.
It artificially went through the roof.
And then that's when everybody threw money in to try to crush those positions, which was hilarious, by the way. That movie, there's a movie out about that. How much money did you make today? $8 million. Get out.
Nice work if you can get it.
Nice work if you can get it. If you can get it. Just drink a beer, buy, don't sell. There you go. That's what Ann says.
Well, I can agree with the drink a beer part.
Somebody said, ask him what a put is. Oh, my goodness. That's what, when commodities, a lot of places won't let you, commodity firms wouldn't let you sell, a lot of stuff in the option world because you're collecting in all the fees, right? So if you sold something for 100, let's just say straight 100, you get all those fees. But if it goes in the opposite direction, right? So you're selling it, and if all of a sudden it goes through where you thought you are on the hook for everything above and beyond what you could lose. So you put 100 in, you got 100, you may lose 400. And so I saw some people out there in the gold world, especially, and in oil and gas and stuff, get destroyed in that world. So you got to be careful out there. You got to know what you're doing, or you've got to have a great system, which is good. But the market's down, it's up, it's sideways. If you're a day trader, you're happy with some volatility. If you're not a day trader and you're 40 years old, right, and you've got a 401k, you're probably not trading you probably don't own a ton of private equities. You don't care about today. You care about tomorrow. If it lasts, you might care. What you do care about, though, is the potential of the cost of life. Meaning, your groceries go up, you notice that, right? Inflation, we all felt that. If the goods you're used to buying are going up, because this is one of the things we forget about. It's not just about buying, as I said earlier, a sock. You go buy a sock. It's great. It's not about that. It's about the cost of everything. Even if you make some stuff here, all that stuff may not be made here. So you may assemble it. You may make portions of it. But once things start to go up and you feel it in your pocketbook on a daily basis, and we've been griping about inflation for a long time. And our inflation, by the way, against the rest of the world was minimal compared to so much of the rest of the world, which was massive. Like, look at Europe. But we're at a point now where if it starts affecting you, the noise is going to get louder. If you're 70 years old or 65 and you've got some money in the bank, because I heard a lot of people say, I was out golfing the other day and they're like, I don't care if stuff goes up. Well, yeah, because, you're here on a Friday afternoon and you're golfing, right? And I saw you roll in a brand new car. You don't look like you're hurting for anything. It's a little different than if you're living closer to the edge. If you're living closer to the edge, that's a different story. And Trump's big thing is he wants to help the working man and woman. Well, who's been hurt over the last umpteen years? The working man and woman. They've been living at the edge. And while we would like to think that all these things are going to pay off, I don't know how long they're going to last. It's obvious that some of these are meant for negotiation, and the China one is much different. The China tariffs are a different beast. This is a battle that is going to happen for a while, I think. And people are going to have to get used to some of our cheap goods aren't going to be as cheap. They're not. And they're not going to be as cheap. And so you're going to look elsewhere. And hopefully you can find some stuff that is made in America or made in a place where, but even if it's made in a place where our allies are, doesn't mean that, the tariffs won't hit them. Because at the end of the day, you and I care about what? Us. I care about how far can my paycheck go? How far can your paycheck go? If you can handle it, you're all on board with this. If you are struggling and it goes south and all of a sudden you're having to get a side hustle for your side hustle, that's uncomfortable. And that's when politics will play a part of it. And to say that politics won't would be a lie. Of course politics is going to play a part of it. It has to. Because this is what it is. And the politics, not just here, but you look over in Europe. You saw Elon come out today, said, hey, you know what? I would rather us not have these kind of things. But you look here. You look at the people that are designing this, Peter Navarro being one of them, saying, no, this is what we're doing.
Okay, you take any given country, they're like fingerprints. They all cheat us in a different way. So here are the things they cheat us on. Some of them engage in currency manipulation. Some of them have a hefty VAT tax. All of them dump into our markets. All of them engage in heavy export subsidies and government subsidies. All of them put up these phony technical and phytosanitary barriers to our ag products and our autos and everything in between. Many of them steal our intellectual property. A lot of them run sweatshop labor, including forced child labor. They have pollution havens. So when you say to me, Ed, what do we want from them? We want fairness. We don't want them to kill American workers by inundating us with this non-tariff cheating. And it would be really refreshing to have the media talk more about that. This zero tariff thing, it's a misdirection. No, it's a misdirection. It's the non-tariff barriers.
And I understand where he's going with that. And some of it, let's be real, some of the tariffs are never going to be, we're always going to be in somewhat of a little bit of a deficit to some nations. Why? Because our dollar is so much stronger. Even if it collapsed, it's still going to be stronger. Our economy's stronger. Our economy, a little bit better than Honduras, a little bit better than Nepal. Kind of truth there. Somebody texted in and said, well, maybe this will force families to get only the necessities. Yeah, that's what a lot of families are doing already. It's if those necessities become a point where they're living at that edge, and those necessities are now worth, you got to start saying, okay, my necessities look like this. I can buy these necessities, and these ones, while they're necessities, I can do without, or we're going to have to cut everything thin. That's when things get politically potentially untenuous. Not so much. Look, Trump doesn't have to worry. He's not getting reelected. He's not running for a third. He didn't have anything to worry about in that sense. But what he does have to worry about is people in his party and the potential of could they be in a position to lose? Because we talked about this, and we'll continue to talk about this, I'm sure, for the coming months and year and a half. And that is simply, if Trump and the Republicans can't hold serve, Trump will then be forced to spend in the last 2 years of his presidency fending off Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell and all those other Muppets that are out there who are dying to have another swing, right? Have another bite at the apple. And that's something I doubt Trump wants, to spend the last 2 years trying to figure out how we can get executive orders through and through, which is not really what the presidency should be all about. So they've got a lot of work to do. But the volatility, that stuff, when it affects you, trust me, I'll hear it on the text line. Okay, this is too much for me. This is getting too expensive. We mentioned Social Security once about 3 weeks ago. And when we talked about what are some of the things that can be done with Social Security, so many of you who voted for Trump were like, that's my money. I want it. And I'm like, whoa. It wasn't about your money and wanting it. It's like for the future. So you'll let me know if you think things are going to get too damn expensive. Just like you'll let your congressman know, your senator know, and I'm sure the president will know. He's got a good gauge on that. Weather this week was not going to be too frightful, is what Ken's telling us. Not going to be too frightful, but chance for some storms. So we, Belle and I and Dan and Chris, we stormed it out this weekend, which was awesome. Belle and I, we were here in studio, so if a giant tornado would have come through, we were going to man the whole thing.
Yeah, I drove in during that weather.
Yes.
We were brave.
Yeah, we were. What have you ever thought, like, hey, where do we go if something goes sideways?
Downstairs.
Yeah, we're on the wrong floor for it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I thought about that. I was like, man, if stuff does go, like, we don't really have any.
Yeah, if we see one of the giant satellite dishes disappear off the roof, then we need to come inside and get on the background floor.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's no basement here, guys. And we're not even close to what would be the second floor. We got to run for it. Coming up, a lot of stuff to get to still this hour. Who's filling in for Matt today? Because Matt's still off today, right?
I think Cameron's still.
Cam's still there? All right, cool. So we'll have Cameron here in a little while as well. Matt will be back tomorrow on a much-needed break from the weather, because he's been our Matt Monsoon has been here day in and day out.
Yep.
When Ken Tornado took off, Matt Monsoon was here. Oh, my Lord. Little nature messing you up straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. My Pillow has great deals right now on all kinds of stuff, including bedding sheets. Ooh, go to mypillow.com/Benson. Use my code Benson. Giza Dream Sheets and Percal bed sheets. Now, the Giza Dream Sheets are amazing. 100% Giza cotton, ultra soft, breathable, amazing, luxurious sateen. It's like sleeping on $1 million. Normally $139.98. Now $69.99. King size $79.99. 10-year warranty, 6-day money back guarantee. My favorite right now is things get a little bit warmer. Percal bed sheets. Crisp, cool, perfect for people like me. I sleep a little bit hotter. Okay? Perfect design, snug fits. Again, 10-year warranty, 6-day money-back guarantee. Queen size, normally $89.98, now just $29.98. King, just $34.98. Take advantage of all of these great deals with MyPillow. Go to MyPillow.com/Benson. Use my code Benson, and it's not going to last forever. They've got a sorted group of these, and once they're gone, they're gone. So visit MyPillow.com/Benson. Take advantage of this, and there's free shipping options available as well. MyPillow.com/Benson.
Now, the Tennessee Titans have announced the new voice you will hear on Sundays on the radio. We'll tell you about it at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Is it us? Are we the new team?
Dude, we're going to be too busy announcing tornadoes.
That's right. I think that would be great, man. We'd be what happened? I don't know. They caught the ball. It's pretty awesome. Guy smashing into the guy. Ball fumbled everywhere. We're not very good. You know that, right?
Have you ever seen the video of the tornado hitting the stadium we have now when it was being built?
No.
It's on YouTube, but there was a tornado that actually hit the stadium when it was in construction.
Says a lot about.
There were a lot of tornadoes that hit the stadium in 2024.
The new stadium. When's the new stadium going to be ready?
That's supposed to be 2027.
Okay, and
let's see. Well, I need to backtrack. That may be
I don't know. It may be
than
quicker than that from the way that thing looks like it's going up.
God, it's going up so fast. So fast.
Let's see.
I thought AC/DC was playing there.
2027. Yeah, scheduled to open in 2027. Now, I think AC/DC is going to be at the current.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that's where you want AC/DC. Right. Like that should be the last show. It's like take a piece of the stadium home with you tonight.
That would be funny.
AC/DC's here. Have fun.
I went to see the Titans, man, and we were walking to our seats, and you could just see rebar poking out of the concrete all over the place. It was ridiculous.
I was the worst stadium, and I've been to some stankers. And in Europe, I've went to soccer games and played in places where the stadiums, they're building, essentially the 1800. This stadium's been here since 1884. Yeah. And they just kind of updated it here and there. I went to the Coliseum in Oakland. They don't play there anymore. Now they're in Sacramento. It was the worst place I have ever seen a sporting event. I'm standing in line And I remember it was Eric Chavez bobblehead day. And I'm standing in line, and I feel a drip, drip. And I look up, and there's water coming through like the second.
Oh.
It was a dump.
And where was that water coming
That
from?
was a big question.
Yeah.
That place was it was concrete. Remember back in the 70s, they built all of those, the Mistake on the Lake, all of those concrete stadiums. That's all they were. And same thing. I mean, I remember when the Oakland Raiders played there, and they wouldn't even put grass on. It was just like they're kicking off the infield, like Janikowski.
Right. Yes.
It was such a dump.
Or at second base.
Janikowski trying to kick from second base. But it was the whole place was a dump. And I see why Steve. But I look and I think, okay, SoFi. I don't know what you're going to do with SoFi in like 20 years because everything seems to now it's like 20 years lifespan. But SoFi Stadium is absolutely the most ridiculous. And you know what's neat about this? So when you go to SoFi, that's where the Rams and the Chargers play. It only looks like it's like one story because it's in the flight path, so they had to dig down. So you walk in and you go straight down, which is a trip. But for the teams to get there, they have to go in through a tunnel beneath the city to get into the stadium where the locker rooms are. The whole thing it's amazing. It's incredible. It's also expensive.
Yeah.
It is so expensive. They're like, we're not going to use any money, but you're going to pay the price for it. $100 for parking.
Yeah, there's a lot of taxpayer money going into this one.
I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of taxpayer money going into stuff. I don't like it. But also, you can't bitch if somebody puts their own money into something and then they're trying to make money back. You can't say, well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
No. They should have a taxpayer portion of like, okay, I've been here for 5 years and I've been paying taxes, so we should get a 20% discount on parking.
The problem is, though, there's so many people there's so many places that are willing to spend that kind of taxpayer money to get a team that if you don't want to compete, then you're just going to lose your team and have none.
Yeah. And that's the truth. And trust me, I mean, many of you guys, if you've ever been, I was in Los Angeles. I was a kid growing up in Los Angeles, the second biggest market on the planet. We didn't have a football team. The NFL was so powerful. They're like, you guys don't need a football team. We had no team. No team. Could you imagine that? It was incredible.
Wow.
Could you imagine if there's no Yankees or Dodgers?
Yeah, that'd be something.
It was insane. And I was in Arizona last year when they lost the Coyotes. And the Coyotes were going to fund their own stadium. Nobody wanted it because they thought the parking would be too bad or be this, that, and the other. Now they're where? Well, Utah came in and said, come on over here. We'll give you everything you want. And you won't even have to build your own arena. We'll build you one. And it's the same. You watch. If they wouldn't have got a stadium down here, Titans would have been on the move again. Because if somebody's willing to do it, right? Like somebody's begging for, Seattle wants a basketball team or, everybody wants something. You don't think there's like Major League Baseball, if there wasn't something couldn't get done outside of Vegas, you don't think Nashville would have thrown in at some point in time? So we could use a Major League Baseball team. Snake it. So if you're willing to give it, people are willing to take it, and they'll take it easily. Coming up, we'll do Nature Messing You Up. Got a lot of other stuff, some more of the wacky protesters. Boy, did you guys feel that wacky protesting this weekend? We had some of it here. Talk a little bit about that. Plus the books, the most challenged books when it comes to the lie that is, you're banning books. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson, Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Damage assessment continues across the state. We're under a state of emergency due to the stormy week and the stormy weekend. The death toll stands at 10 in Tennessee alone. TEMA Director Patrick Sheehan says rivers running high, meaning the flooding threat persists.
It's going to take quite a bit of time for that water to recede. In some places, it could take weeks. So if you have roads that are covered in water. We ask that you turn around and don't drown.
Right now in our nation's capital, here's Karen Travers.
President Trump Monday threatened to again increase tariffs on China if Beijing doesn't remove the retaliatory tariffs it placed on the U.S. The president said his administration would put additional tariffs on China of 50%, effective Wednesday, April 9th. A senior White House official said this would be in addition to the 34% tariff President Trump announced last week, set to go into effect that same day. There are already 20% tariffs in place on China, which means there's a potential for a total of 104%. China called the Trump administration's policy, quote, economic bullying.
Yeah, we're monitoring the White House right now. President Trump is hosting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They're going to talk about Gaza and tariffs. And a week-long nationwide boycott of Walmart has begun over its rollback of DEI hiring policies. And the company announcing a response, says Chuck Severson.
Citing a workforce where a majority don't have college degrees, Walmart announces it's working with other leading employers through a Skills First workforce initiative, giving a grant to create a new website, skillsfirst.org, listing requirements for 9 of the most common U.S. jobs to help job seekers and employers. Walmart says its partners include Bank of America, Home Depot, Microsoft, Nordstrom, PepsiCo, and Verizon.
Tennessee Titans front office announcing the new voice you're going to hear on Sundays, Taylor Zarzour. He has been doing play-by-play for the SEC Network's college football games. He's got a gig for golf over on Sirius XM, and he says he's excited to come back to Nashville, his favorite city. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Busy Bee Plumbing and HVAC. Man, I tell you what, if you're worried about, especially this time of year, right? We've got weather all over the place. How's your HVAC? Are you ready for the humidity and the heat? Oh, you better get ready for it. What about your plumbing? Is it good? How about this? Join the famous Beehive Club, and with it, you get all the cool stuff. You get discounts. You get put to the front of the line, and you get a couple inspections, which pays for this for the whole year. It is awesome. So when you go and you're saying to yourself, why would I want to join the Beehive Club? Because it's about being smart with what's going on out there and knowing that they can come take care of you in a moment's notice, put you right to the front of the line. You get 3 annual system maintenance appointments, minor repairs, right? So they're going to come out there and take a look. And if you got an issue, they're going to get to it first. And that matters because minor becomes major when you don't take care of stuff. And that's your HVAC and your plumbing. Be smart about it. Join the Beehive Club. They're going to take care of you. And they've got great deals, but they're going to treat you like you've never been treated. They're going to make sure that you're handled in a real way, not somebody's out there just to sell you something. And you get a lot of that out there these days. Let Busy Bee be your HVAC and plumbing coming. Call today. Join the Beehive Club, 775-7833, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com. Birch Gold. Why gold? I don't know. You see what's going on out there? It's ugly. Let Birch help you with what's happening. It's a great way to protect yourself, especially times like this. You don't get a life jacket after the ship has sailed and it's sinking. It's too late to buy one at that point in time. Gold's going to help you protect so much. Birch they're who I go to, and I do buy gold. The physical, it's a smart thing to do. And let me tell you something. When you want to protect in inflationary situations, we want to protect in situations where the weakening dollar, global unrest, smart money heads to things like gold. And gold has been taken off. And it's a great way for you to stress-freely transition into gold, protect what you've built, and build upon it. Text the word Benson today to 989898. Birch is going to send you out free information, gold kit. Let you take a look about what they're all about. There's no crazy, hardcore, we're going to call you 5,000 times. No, they just want to get you the kit, the info, let you make a decision for yourself. But it's a smart thing to do. Diversification is key, and gold is one of those things you should be looking at. Text the word Benson today to 989898 for Birch Gold. Yeah, and stuff. Will there be worry? So we've talked about the worry, you and I. Life gets more expensive, right, because of tariffs. People are going to go, What about the politics? Because that does play a role in this.
A handful of Republicans concerned about the president's policy have signed on to bills that would have Congress voting to approve new tariffs. One such bill in the Senate now has 7 GOP co-sponsors, but it's already prompted a White House veto threat. And House Speaker Mike Johnson tells ABC's Jay O'Brien.
We have to give the president space. His strategy is playing out. It's been less than a week, so I think he's owed that.
To impose the latest tariffs, Trump has invoked emergency powers under a law Congress passed in 1977. The unprecedented move has already sparked a legal challenge.
Yeah, and that legal challenge, by the way, most legal experts said probably a bit of a landslide. SCOTUS would vote potentially 8-1, 9-0. That you can't do this, Trump. This is something you can't do. This is not what you can do. And there'll be legal challenges. And people are worried. And if I'm the Democrats, by the way, I am playing this thing out. I'm letting them go. I'm talking about the middle class. I'm playing it up with hey, everybody's crazy. Look at all these, billionaires and oligarchs. The oligarchs are everywhere. They're taking the money. They're going to run with it. You can't stop it. They're stealing it. I just saw Elon yesterday. He was going through petty cash. He's taking all the petty cash. He went straight over, right there, to the Peace Corps, stole all the petty cash. Right? USA, no more petty cash. He's taking everything. But these things are going to play out over time, and some will stay, some will go. Somebody said, I understand that those living on the edge be concerned about the possibility of Trump's tariffs raising prices a bit. Well, what is a bit? If you're living on the edge, a bit may be a bit too much for a lot of people, right? And so there is a threshold not only for the average person on what might become a little bit too expensive, but also for politicians and what they can stand. And I think we recognize that politicians' job number one is to get reelected. Congress, Senate has a little bit more time. You got 6 years, right? So if you just got reelected in November, you're really not freaking out too much about this because you're like, we're going to go through so much crap over the next 5 years before I ever have to worry about this. But it's good that I stand up there and say, yay, nay. But if you are a congressperson, you're battling this fight all the time. And this fight is going to continue to go on. And you're gonna lean into it if it starts to go one way, and you're going to try to run away from it or push back against it if it starts to go another way. And we'll find out what that looks like. Absolutely. By the way, it's one of our favorite times of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I told you I was going to do it. I'm going to do it. Nature will mess you up. Because it will. It will. I'm not lying. Case in point, this person who does something that is...
Who lost their hands this time?
This, you know what? This is nature, and I'm going to tell you this. Not a big fan of it. But when you do this, is it interesting to watch? Nah, I'm not a fan of it. but you understand the risk when you do it.
Tonight, a Texas bull riding event turning deadly for a young professional rider. 24-year-old Dylan Grant from Wyoming suffering fatal injuries after his father says the bull bucked him off and onto the ground.
He got his neck stepped on. He ran out of the arena and straight to the ambulance with these injuries, but Dylan was double tough.
Dylan was medevac to a Houston area hospital where he died.
What happened to Dylan last night is very, 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 very rare. It was a freak accident.
Yeah, it was. So he got bucked, and he didn't get stabbed or gorged. What happened was, as he fell, the ginormous animal of which he is trying to hold on for dear life, jumping up and down, not happy about everything, and where things are tied, kicked out and stomped on his neck. And he knew he was in trouble, but he took off. But the damage was already done. But you went on it. You chose it. And watching his dad do the interview, by the way, in front of all of his belt buckles, and his dad's merry man of fact, well, he knew the job. You know, when he got into it, he was very excited. He was living his dream.
What's your name?
I'm Dylan Grant.
Dylan Grant, seen here at a Colorado rodeo, rose from high school state champion to win the Mountain State title and then worked his way into the dangerous world of professional bull riding.
How about a big ride by Dylan Grant?
Can you put into words what this loss means to your family?
No, and you're just going to pull a lot of tears and heartache. He was just built with kindness.
David, Dylan's father tells me they absolutely knew the dangers of this sport. That is why he wore a Kevlar vest and a custom-made hockey helmet every time he rode. But he loved this sport, and he was absolutely living his dream.
And he died doing what he loved. I mean, but, you know, you're on back of something. He knew the risk, right? You know that these things are big. You know, I mean, you don't see too many people die anymore. You know, Lane Frost, remember that? What movie was that? 8 Seconds with Luke Perry? Cynthia Geary? But you knew the risk, and he got on the back. And I'm not a fan of rodeos like that. But I tell you what, man, I went to a PBA event when I was in Sacramento. Oh, and it's weird. They have like backstage passes. You're like, what the hell's a backstage pass? Because you're not meeting you got to go see the Bulls. Because nobody, look, Broncos, whatever. You know, do I want to really, is it neat watching you rope something? I want to see the Bulls. Oh, my God.
It's really shocking that a bull would be angry that you're sitting on his back, jabbing your spurs into his neck.
And crushing his grundle. So, I think Ken's going to say something. So put his headphones on.
No, I stay away from them.
I would too, by the way. I mean, you know, it's like but you know what you're getting into, right? Like that's it. You get what you're getting into.
Yeah. I mean, you know the risks.
You know, it's like, do I ever feel sorry for like when the old bullfighters and somebody dies? You're like, well, that's kind of the whole point, right? You know the risk. It's a show, and every once in a great while, right? Even the generals beat the Globetrotters. And this time it was, you know, this guy, but it was a freak accident. He didn't get gorged. Which, you know, I think a lot of people think, oh, did he get gorged? No, he didn't. It stomped on him, and it didn't do it on purpose. It didn't look and go, oh, there's the guy who was on my back. I'm going to stomp on him.
Just where he came down.
Just where he came down, because he's in the, but think about this if you're an animal. You've got somebody on your back. They're tightening stuff around you. You're kicking your spurs in. The crowd's going on, and they're going to open up the door. And, you know, it's not like you were like, okay, I know exactly what I'm getting into. I'm the bull. It didn't work that way. And it was just an accident, freak accident. And, but his family, like they said, they were talking, hey, he knew the risk and he loved the sport and he wouldn't want anything to happen to the sport.
Yeah.
And you got to give him, you know, it's just like people who race cars. You know, how many great Ayrton Senna, right? Dale Earnhardt. And we can go on and on about the great ones who've died racing cars. And, you know, that's you know, it sucks, but you know the risk in some of these sports. Other sports, you know, like if you're downhill skiing and you're going 100 miles an hour, you kind of know there's a risk. If you're cross-country skiing, unless a bull runs out and hits you or something like that. That's a certain.
It's almost like NASCAR, except the car doesn't want to kill you.
Yes. There you go. Yeah, exactly. The car doesn't want to kill you. It's a great way to, like, the car's not going, I can't wait to throw you out of here.
Right.
It's not doing that. Speaking of wackiness, we have plenty of it. Ladies and gentlemen, what books can and can't I see? None. I can see any books I want.
George M. Johnson's All Boys Aren't Blue tops the American Library Association's 10 most challenged books of 2024. It's a memoir exploring growing up black and queer. It's not for kids, Johnson told ABC News last year.
These young adults will be going out into the real world, so they need to be reading about these heavier topics.
Most of the books listed have LGBTQ plus themes. There's Maya Kobabe's Genderqueer and Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. Other objections involve references to drug addiction, slavery, and sexual abuse.
Now, he even said they're not for kids. They're not. They're not for kids. But when I hear people, and some of you chimed in earlier, all that when they say banned, these books aren't banned, right? Like, they're not. You could get these books. They're available. But I couldn't read any of this stuff when it gets to the stuff that everybody's talking. I couldn't read it on the air without getting fired. We could make Bell do it. But then Ken and I would have to run the board.
Yeah.
We can't do that. I mean,
too much work.
No, we don't even know what buttons to push. Right? Like, you think, and we already know we can't land the airplane. So we're not even going to pretend like we can run the board. But I love it. It's the most challenged. It is ridiculous that we still have this conversation. I couldn't even imagine as a child having any kind of book like this available to me. It would have been not even thought of. But nowadays, it's like, oh, well, you're trying to, keep free speech away from people and take things away because you're this, that, and the other. No, it's just common sense. People and as we all know in today's world, common sense is anything but common. Coming up, Cameron in for Matt. Matt will be back tomorrow. We got him coming up. We'll wrap up the show on this beautiful Monday. It is the Chad Benson Show at Super Talk 99.7.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
wrapping up the show. I saw Cameron. He wandered in here, but I don't know where he's at. Maybe he's just gave up. Be on till 7 now.
He just said enough of this. I'm out.
Somebody's mad at me because we were talking about rodeo. The animals' genitalias are not all wrapped up. And then I have another person saying, flank strap is so tight, the flank strap will make them buck. Great that you rode rodeo. Like, I get that, but, a lot of people look at it and think, I mean, and it's exciting. I get it. It is. So, no, I'm not a rodeo guy. I'm not. I'm also not a, bull running guy. Like, here's a perfect example. Every year we watch, we'll want the highlights of the bull run. Only the highlights where the bull gorges somebody and puts him through a wall in Spain. Because we're like, well, that's kind of funny. Because why? Because you're doing something stupid.
Yeah, there's no place to escape.
No, it's not. It is tiny, by the way. The streets in Europe are wee tiny. And I've never like running with the bulls. How about running with the cows?
Sheep.
Running with the sheep. That's crazy. They may tip you over.
The devil.
Running with the devil? That's a good one, too. Somebody asked me tonight, who do I think is going to win? Houston and Florida. I think Houston wins tonight. I think Houston. Defense wins championships. Yep. All right? So, D wins championships. And I think tonight, Houston gets it done because, first of all, Duke, you did. You crapped the bed, right? Right? You did, as the kids would say. As Johnny Depp's ex-wife, Amber Turd, would say. Still the weirdest thing in the history of the world. That relationship was awful. You guys were up by 9 with less than 2 minutes left, and you lost. And you're the best player in basketball, college basketball. Going to be the number 1 pick. And you lost. So I think D wins championship. I think Houston gets it done tonight. 83-76. Mortgage your house. The word I'm looking for is gore. Yes.
I think I think it's going to depend. I think it's going to depend on how the officials call this game. The SEC has been a very physical conference. The refs kind of let them play. I remember in the Big 12, they were pretty touchy on contact.
Yeah.
So I mean, and you've got great athletes on both sides. Both of them have a couple of 7-footers. So I don't know.
When I saw Houston play, and they're the team I may have seen the most, they are just swarming in everything they do.
They're very fast.
Yeah, and their defense, right? And you feel like too, you've got this momentum because you got past Duke when Duke was for 38 minutes the best team on the court.
Yeah.
But you only have to be the best team on the court at the end of the game, right? And, it was a hell of a game. It was. But I just feel like Houston tonight, and they're so, yeah, you're right. Like, both teams are big.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've got, their point guards are like 6'4", 6'5".
Isn't that weird? Like, back in the day. Like, now, like, oh, my shooting guard's 6'6".
Yeah.
Right? And he can jump from half court and dunk a basketball. But tonight's going to be fun, and we'll see. And then last night, UConn won by like 800 points in women's basketball, if anybody cares about that.
Yeah, and that was no small task, man. South Carolina's women, I mean, they are legit. And I mean, Connecticut, UConn just handled them.
They did.
Just handled
it. It was over early, too. I mean, it was like that game was done. It was like, okay, are they going to win by 40? It's like one of those games at halftime where you're like trying to figure out, okay, well, we can really make it. Stick around and watch this. Watch them cut down the net. Somebody said, keep your opinions to politics. Personally, I think soccer is the dumbest sport on earth. Okay. And?
Next.
Yeah. I just, okay. What is that supposed to mean? Soccer is the dumbest sport on earth. Okay. Well, we'll tell the 4 billion people that watch it. That's, it's the dumbest sport on earth. It's a sport. Everybody's got their. By the way, why do you get to have an opinion about a sport and I don't?
That's just the way it is, Brother Chad.
I know, man.
That's the way it is.
I know. And I'm glad you were a rodeo guy. Or gal. You might have been a gal. I don't know. I'm glad you wrote, you were in rodeo back in your day. You know a lot about rodeo. I know all about soccer. By the way, most famous person on earth, Cristiano Ronaldo. Not even close. By the way, his Instagram, almost 700 million people.
Wow.
Second place has like 450 million or something. And that's a lot. It's insane.
Amazing.
Just who are you people?
Wow.
Coming up next, guy named Cameron in for a guy named Matt. You guys have a good one. We'll do it again tomorrow.